Hey Blair, can you tap your microphones over there?
Check 1, 2.
Okay, do again. Tap. Hey everybody, we are back online. I'm messing with my microphone because I gotta mess with my microphone. Always messing with my microphone. We are back. This is This Week in Science. We are a weekly science podcast. We air online at twis.org/live. Also, facebook.com/This Week in Science. You can also find us twis.org/YouTube. TWIS.org is our main website. You can also find information about our podcast there. But we are here today at the Young Innovators Fair talking with people here at the fair about the things they have brought to share, to inspire. I think these kids, we got some, Justin has lined some kids up who are going to tell us about their inventions. And so he's producing this madness. But we are getting ready for some fun new interviews. I hope everyone out there is ready for some fun. We're back online. If you're watching, please share with everyone that we are up and running again. We took a little break.
Do they all want to come up together? Or
we're going to bring up a couple at a time.
Okay.
Yeah? You ready? Come on up and join us. All right, take a seat. So the microphone, you have to kind of hold it close to your face.
Close to your mouth.
Don't be afraid of the microphone. We want you to make friends with the microphone. All right. Okay, what is your name?
Yanna.
Dana, and what is your name?
Her name is Yanna.
Yanna, I'm sorry. I heard Dana. Okay.
And my name is Mitchell.
Mitchell, how old are you?
I am 10.
10?
I'm also 10.
Okay, and what are you doing here?
I am sharing about my invention, the Never-Forgetter.
The Never-Forgetter. Oh, intrigued by the name of that. And you have an invention also, Mitchell?
Yeah, I came here to present my invention, and my invention is called the Super-Separator.
Super-Separator. All right, so we've got the Never-Forgetter and the Super-Separator. And what group are you with? I see your T-shirts. What do they say?
Well, we're in different groups. Yanna, she's with 2 other people, Kyle and Madison, and I'm partners with Michael.
Because you have different projects.
Yes, we have different projects.
Okay, and but what's on your T-shirts here? What is this program here? What is this? Inventor's Workshop, where anyone can be an inventor.
Yeah.
All right, so Never-Forgetter, tell me about this. I don't want to forget things. I forget things all the time. How are you going to help me?
So basically, it's a mat that has wires running through it. So when you step on the mat, it would play the recording. We have a preset recording that says, "Don't forget to record what you don't want to forget." Because problem would be a lot of people would forget what to record. So once you record it, like let's say you put it in your bedroom, you wake up and when you step on the mat, it would record what you don't want to forget, so you'd remember once you walk out of the door.
Okay. So if I always forget my sunglasses at home, right, I could put this right outside my front door, and when I step to leave my house, it could say, "Don't forget your sunglasses."
Yeah.
Okay. Very cool.
Or if I put it by my bed and I didn't want to forget a dream, I could step on it and say, "Don't forget that you flew over the Grand Canyon last night."
Yeah, you can put down basically anything you want.
Is there a time limit to how long you can record?
No.
Oh, so you could just stand there and talk to yourself?
Yeah, pretty much.
I like this, Matt. Who came up with this idea?
Kyle, Madison, and I, because we kept on forgetting our instruments, and we didn't have a way to remember them, so we just came up with it. Never forget it.
Do you use it now?
Yeah, sometimes.
Does it help you remember?
Yeah.
Well, that's proof of concept right there.
You know what actually it can be really helpful for is for people that have medications that they need to take first thing in the morning, stuff like that. You could step on the mat and it would remind you. Yeah. Absolutely. That's pretty cool.
Don't forget to clean the cat box.
That's also very important.
Very important. I tell my husband, don't forget to clean the cat box. He's in charge of the house while I'm gone. All right, Mitchell. Tell me about this Super-Separator.
Yeah. So the Super-Separator is, a tray that like allows you to put your most important supplies in it, so you can have your desk more organized. I came up with this idea because so my friend has a sister, and she has a really messy desk, and it prevents her from like finding her stuff. And so my partner Michael and I, we came up with this invention to make it easier for her to find all of her supplies. And it's like on grooves, so there's like two grooves like attached in the inside of the desk on the both sides, and the tray's on top of it, and you can roll it out from the desk, and you can tell what supplies are in which area. Is because there's stickers, and the stickers have like it's written what is in which area, so you can find it quicker.
That's fantastic. I need something like that though for my sock and underwear drawer. They can separate my socks for me. Would that work?
Well,
Or is this more like pens and
this
things?
is more like school supplies.
Yeah, I got
but we measured it to the good size of all the stuff, so nothing will not fit.
Yeah. Okay. So is it working for your friend's sister?
Well, yes, we gave it to her, and she's trying it out, and it really works. So now her teacher doesn't yell about it. And but what I didn't say is that it's not going to be directly in the middle. It's like a little bit higher than the middle, so the bottom area you can put like your like math books and everything.
Right.
So, yeah.
That would be very useful. So it's not just a big pile of stuff in the bottom of your desk at school. But we know school desks are just kind of like those big buckets. And this way you've got, I love it. And benefit, not getting yelled at by the teacher. But I can't find it. That's no excuse. You got it. Now you have an organized friend. Are you going to use this for yourself? Do you think you're going to market it to your classmates?
Yes, because my desk, no offense to myself, but it's really, really messy. So I have to use it to myself.
You can use it yourself. So what are you going to be doing with your inventions? These are great. Both of them very creative, very useful, practical ideas. What happens next? What are you doing?
What I'm thinking of doing with my invention, I'm thinking to selling it to like schools, like to the principal, so he can have it attached in everybody's school desk, so nobody will have messy desks, and everything could get done a lot quicker.
I like that. Awesome. And Yanna?
My partners and I are thinking of improving it and making it so if you talk into Siri, it would set in the mat.
Oh, so maybe use Bluetooth or something to connect it, make an app for your phone. You're starting to think, getting the technology in there. Both of these. Okay, so you've got next steps.
Yeah.
Is this an after-school program?
No, we are in a thing called PEN program, where you have to like pass like this test to see if you're good enough to qualify.
Mm-hmm.
And both of us qualified, so what we do in there, every grade is a different subject. So this subject was building inventions, and
Cool.
so we went to Bridge Valley to present them to the school and everything. But then we came back here, and then we're presenting it here to everybody else.
Nice. Are you getting a good response?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you so much for telling us about your inventions. This is really neat. Have you had fun doing them?
Yeah.
Awesome. Are you going to invent more things?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, that's a good answer. Great. I hope you invent many more creative, exciting, practical products. Thank you very much, both of you. That's great. I love it. Seriously, the older I get, the more I need that Never-Forgetter mat. All right, we're bringing up our next two guests.
Inventors.
Yeah, Blair, can you start off this interview? Because I would like to do a little tweet for a moment.
All right. So why don't you guys tell us your name and your age, and then we'll talk about your inventions.
My name is Rachel,
Rachel,
and my age is 10.
you're 10.
My name is Gillian, and I'm also 10.
Gillian.
Jillian.
Very cool. So Rachel, what is your invention?
Well, we actually have the same invention.
Oh, okay. You were on the same team.
Yeah, we worked
Oh, that's
together
great.
to make the invention called Spic and Span Desks.
Spic and Span Desks. Okay, so is that also a desk organizer?
Yeah.
Nice. Tell us a little bit more about it.
So we have boxes inside our desks, so that it like you could put like any type of paper in, and like it's duct tape to like, so like red duct tape could mean like a math box, and like blue could mean like a science box, or like, and then there's Velcro in the back of the desk and on the back of the boxes too, so it's customizable.
It's customizable.
Yeah.
So what made you want to invent this this organizational tool?
We both had very messy desks.
Yeah.
And people at in my classroom, in her classroom, basically the whole school was complaining about how their desks were always messy, and like our teachers come around and they're like looking at how organized our desks are, and everyone's are like pretty messy. So we just wanted to come up with a way that solves that problem.
Right. Yeah, because if it's one or two people with messy desks, yeah, maybe they need to be cleaner. But if it's everybody, that definitely means that maybe they need something extra. So that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So what did you learn anything fun through this experience about inventing and stuff like that?
So like we learned to like stretch our minds, so like to the limit, and push ourselves to create like new ideas, and not just like ordinary ideas, just like thinking outside of the box.
That's
What kind did you do? Any kind of special exercises to stretch your mind? I mean, how do you get to a point where you're like, I'm stretching my mind?
Brain yoga.
Normally with your toes, you can practice touching your toes. Is there something that you did to practice expanding your?
We did like a lot of games. Like we had like verbal spontaneous, word flex, and we had like a whole packet of like brain problems that like help you think outside the box.
nice. So you did do brain yoga.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. So do you guys think you're going to keep inventing after this?
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
Do you have any ideas?
No. I don't.
No?
No ideas.
Okay, well, that means you have the entire world open to you from this point on.
I see you have braces. I had braces when I was younger also. You need an invention to keep food from getting stuck in the braces.
Oh, that's a good
that would
one.
be a good one.
Yeah. And in the future to come, like there will be like lots of new ways to like invent stuff. So like,
That's very true. Yeah. As technology gets better, we have more ways of inventing things, more ways of testing our inventions, and more ways to talk to each other about our inventions too, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. Did you ask? Are you going to be doing anything with your desk organizer? Are you taking it anywhere? That Mitchell was trying to sell the organizer to the principal.
well, we're actually thinking of like splitting our like invention, so like we both get some, so everyone could like have a piece and like memory.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Everyone gets a little bit of it. Are you guys
Yes.
having fun here at the Young Innovators Fair?
Yeah.
Yeah. So have you been presenting presenting at a booth?
I haven't yet.
Are you going to be this weekend? That's great. So you're spending time telling people about what you're doing. Are you getting to run around here at all?
Yeah. Yeah.
What's the favorite thing that you've seen so far?
I liked in the back there's like this remote controlling, like you get to remote control like Lego cars, and you get to build the Lego cars.
I like
cool.
Lego cars. That would be fun.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I liked they had this new 3D printer that like built layer by layer.
Yeah, so you can design
Mhm.
whatever you can imagine and then have it printed.
Mhm.
You can have a sculpture. You could I don't know. A candle holder. You can print anything. A fake pumpkin. Come up with all sorts of things. Tomorrow, we have somebody coming here tomorrow with a company called BioBots, which is located in Philadelphia. He is a 3D printer builder, but their printers don't print plastic. They print with cells. So they can print human tissue. They can print bones, and they can print muscle. And they're going to bring one of their printers and talk with us about their printer tomorrow.
I don't get it, and I can't wait to ask him a million questions.
I know. How are you printing the bones and the flesh? How this?
Explain.
Explain.
That
Yes.
could probably save like a bunch of people.
Yeah. I mean, being able to do that, you don't have, if somebody loses bone in an accident, say, you could just take some of their cells, grow the cells, and then print them into a bone and just put it right back in the limb where they need bone.
Yeah.
Do you need to print skin for if you have a fire victim who's been burned? Then
Yeah.
you can replace their skin with skin you've printed, maybe
That
grown
would
and
be
printed, right?
Grow a new tooth if you knock out a tooth.
If you don't have to have the fake teeth put in instead, right? A real tooth printed stuck in your head. 3D printing, it's the wave of the future. I hope you guys have a lot of fun and keep inventing.
Yeah.
Keep coming up with new ideas. Thank you so much for joining us today.
You're welcome.
Yeah, it's great talking with you. Thank you. All right, everybody. That was wonderful. These young inventors, just like this event says, innovation. We got Extra Life? What? What? We have another interview coming up. This is very exciting. It was fun talking with the children, though. I love talking with people of all ages who are doing interesting, amazing things. And these kids, I mean, it's inspiring because they're putting things together. They're doing things. They are the next step. I believe the children are future. No, I'm sorry. I'm not going to Whitney Houston on you. What? Oh, we need a microphone. Yes, you get a microphone, and you get a microphone.
And what is your name and how old are you?
And you need to hold it up to your mouth because these microphones are...
13 or something.
You're 13?
I started aging backwards around 27.
Okay, awesome.
I'm with Extra Life. It's a fundraising organization for the Children's Miracle Network of Hospitals. So we get people to sign up for something that's very similar to a walkathon.
Okay.
But it's a game-a-thon. And you play board games, card games, tabletop games like Dungeons & Dragons, or, of course, video games.
I love
make
it.
up a game, it counts. That's just the way it is. And what you do is you tell your family and your friends and your neighbors and your coworkers, teachers, boss, hey, I'm raising money by playing games. I'm gaming for a cause now. So
Yeah.
if you'd like to support me, just go to this website. Every time when you sign up, say, hit donate me, and the money goes directly to whichever Children's Miracle Network hospital you chose. There's like 170 different Children's Miracle Network hospitals. I personally raised for the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. But we started, I think it was 10 years ago. We've raised over $30 million.
Wow.
And $200,000 for the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia just last year.
I know. It's been hanging out with us. It landed on the table around noon, and it's just been hanging out with us. We've got a waspy Hymenoptera hanging out.
I like him as long as he just wants to hang
And
out.
his back down.
Why
Oh,
can't
he's
he
flying
stay
away. He took off. He said,
So-
"You identified me. I have to go."
So I think I could do really well with this. With any one of the Fallout games, I would have a really good long run. of being able to raise funds? Because you got to do it continuous, right? It's got to be continuous gaming.
Well, I mean, it doesn't. We break it up. We've got the main event.
Could I play Exploding Kittens?
Absolutely.
Can you play it for that long?
I don't know.
We had one guy fish for 24 hours.
Wow.
Like, just anything counts. But
So you set a goal and you say, I'm going to do this
So,
for
yeah,
X
when
number of time, and people will say, I will donate to you for how many hours you do.
I'll sponsor you $1 an hour or $2 an hour,
Right.
or here's $10, just leave me alone. Or maybe they'll say, I'll give you $15 if you can complete this game in under this many hours. It started out as just a 24-hour marathon of gaming, but then it kind of changed. And if you look on online, there are people gaming for Extra Life every single day of the year now. And some people do it for just an hour here, an hour there. You break it up. Or if you want to participate in the Global Day of Play, as they call it.
Okay.
This year it's November 4th, which is daylight savings time. So it rolls around, 2 o'clock hits, then it's 3 o'clock, and then it's 2 o'clock again, and you're actually playing for 25 hours.
Whoa. 25
That
hour
whole
gaming
extra-
marathon.
A gaming marathon. I don't know. I would be bloodshot eyes and
yeah.
Again, if it's the Fallout game, I could stick probably through that whole
Can you change games in the middle?
Certainly.
It's just playing game. It's whatever
Yeah,
it is for that.
It's the spirit of the thing.
Spirit of
I'll
it.
let
All
you
right.
in on a secret.
Okay, I like
this is-
secrets.
You don't even have to play the games. We're not going to check.
Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here first.
But you can. We encourage it. But we're not going to run you down and be like, look, the books aren't adding up here. You said you played Exploding Kittens for 24 hours, and we just happen to know.
We happen to know.
That's the fourth. Oh, really, Kiki? Really? That's still part of the tutorial stages. You understand it?
Yeah, I'm sure my son would enjoy playing Pokemon.
Oh, certainly. And we've got
Many tabletop Pokemon card players.
And where do we find? How do you sign up for Extra Life? How do you do this?
Well, there's a multitude of ways. Of course, the is going to the website at www.extra-life.org.
.org. That's important.
.org. It's a nonprofit. .org.
Extra-life.org.
And it's raised. Say the number again. How long? Wait. First of all, how long has it been in operation?
You know, I don't know exactly how long. It started in Houston with a little girl named Tori, Victoria Enman. And it was just one hospital at the time, and she has unfortunately passed. But since then, it has grown to be nationwide, and it's got the Children's Miracle Network involved with it. And I think it's either 10 or 12 years that it's been around.
10, 12 years, and you said $30 million has been raised?
Over $30 million,
Wow.
yes.
That is awesome.
Last year's total was just under $10 million. And we're hoping to break double digits this year. We've got a booth back that way playing Mike Tyson's Punch-Out.
I walked by that earlier. I was like, I know that game. That's a really old school game right there.
Oh, and it's amazing how many kids pick it up, and they're ready to play. And then it's like right over their shoulders is like, Dad, just like, I can't watch this. He's so bad at it. I gotta get over it. No, punch. Jab, Mac. Body blow.
I love it. Gaming for a good cause. This is fantastic. I mean, children's hospitals are such an integral part of treating and the therapies for children who are debilitated by so many terrible diseases, which when things happen to children, that's not okay. It's like as you get older, it's kind of expected.
Yeah.
When things happen to kids, that's when we want to fix that as quickly as we can. And so these children's hospitals are
They actually have an event
essential.
down in Florida called Extra Life United, which is where this nice little shirt comes from. Beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah.
It was down in Disney World, and they sent one child from each state got sent, and one from, I think, from Puerto Rico as well, got sent down to in playing a bunch of games with a bunch of the Extra Life fundraisers from different hospitals.
Cool.
And it was just an amazing experience to meet all the kids that you're raising these funds for and see that even though they've got just one debilitating disease after another or have gone through traumatic surgeries,
Right.
and every one of them is more positive than you've ever been in your life.
Right. Yep. Oh,
Like,
that's inspirational.
yeah, it's just amazing. And then we had a big old gaming tournament using board games and video games, and a big rock paper scissors tournament. And $150,000 was given away in total to various hospitals just to kick the year off.
That's
such a
fun.
great
I
idea.
love it. Seriously, having fun and playing games. I mean, people get so serious about walking and jogging, and it's very serious. But you have to really like walking and jogging, driven. But games you can get into so easily. Anyone can play games. You
Yeah,
don't
and
have to be able to walk or jog to play a game,
Exactly.
right?
And if walking and jogging is your thing, then you know what? Go play baseball. It counts.
Oh, you can play baseball, any game.
Any game. Card games, board games,
I love
extreme hide and seek. I don't quite know the rules to it, but if it's out there, it counts.
It counts. That's awesome.
Or maybe
That
a
is
drinking
fabulous.
game. It's for the kids.
For the kids.
FTK. It's right on the Extra Life logo. It's everywhere.
Do it
Yes,
for the
where
kids.
Dungeons and Dragons count.
Dragons. Oh, I want to
There
do
you go.
that. That would be fun. I'll play
Blair
Dungeons and
is on
Dragons for the
board.
kids. That's
Here
good.
you go. What do we got?
We could get TWIS could get into it. We could have a game.
I got little
We could do a
giveaways.
game
Here you
for
go.
The game things. Oh, thank you. We'll get remind. And we have our nice
Yeah,
Oh,
Purell
super cool.
to
it's a
keep our
hands-on con.
hand
so you get a
sanitizer
little-
with little glitters
Nice.
in it to make us feel clean. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thanks for joining
Thanks for
us.
joining us. It was so great talking with you.
I know.
Yeah, you're like, I'm good. It was good. Thank you. Have a great day. All right. We are having fun here. I brought someone else. Woo woo. We got more people here. Someone in a lab coat is coming to join us. Oh, wow.
There you go. Thank you.
You know, it's 11:37.
All day long.
All day long. None of my devices are resetting to East Coast time.
Oh, is that what it is?
I'm like, oh, it's still early. But what's going to happen is I'm going to look at the clock come 2 o'clock, and I'm going to be like, oh, it's only 2. It's 5.
I can go now.
It's the end of the day. I'm going to be pleasantly surprised.
There you go.
This is how I keep.
There's always an upside. Yeah.
That's how I work it.
So,
how I make it work.
Tell us
Yeah.
your name and who you're here with. So my name is Patti Duncan, and we run Investigation Science. It's actually a side endeavor. I don't want to say business. My day job, I work for Discovery Education.
Nice.
And I train teachers, science teachers, in doing student-centered hands-on science. And as part of that, I on my off time, if you will, like
Right.
weekends and an occasional evening, I do investigation science, which is just a way of bringing to school districts and teachers and birthday parties, if you will, opportunities for the kids to get dirty and think out how the world works, basically.
Were you a teacher?
I was,
you a teacher first and foremost?
So initially, right out of college, I was a food chemist. Yeah.
Nice.
And then they, darn economy, they closed the plant down. And someone said to me, you really should be an educator because everybody who needs to learn something, they learn from you. So I became a middle school and high school physical science teacher for 14 years.
Wow.
And I did that for 14 years. And then when my family moved to Pennsylvania, I had an opportunity to do some professional development for Discovery Education, and I started out on a part-time basis, and then they hired me full-time.
And Discovery Education, it's the educational
Division
arm
of Discovery Communication, yes.
Yeah,
So
so
the parent
Shark
company,
Week.
Shark Week, yeah, the Mythbusters, How Stuff Works, the Science Channel, Random Acts of Science. It's all sister endeavors of ours. I've hung out with
the Mythbusters and Reed Timmer, the Storm Chaser, and
Nice.
even Honey Boo Boo. She wasn't all that exciting, but I've had an opportunity. No, I love Honey Boo Boo, and she's gotten her life turned around. So that's an awesome thing.
So with being Discovery Education, do you take the programming content and kind of take an educational slant on it? How can you, what can be taken?
So that's how it started, right?
Yeah.
So it started when the Discovery Channel first aired. The very first thing it aired was an episode of Ice Wars, which is that ice truck wars where the truckers drive on ice.
Right.
And immediately, as soon as it was off the air, the phone rang, and it was a teacher who said, "Can I get a copy of that for showing my teachers?" And we said, "Sure." So that's how we started, right? The person, John Hendricks, who started Discovery Education, his goal was to bring real documentaries to the everyday.
Yeah.
And so that's how it started. So when we started Discovery Education, we took that content, like Frozen Planet and how stuff works and all that stuff, and we just were streaming it to teachers. But it's become so much greater than that. 15 years later, we have a huge library of images and sound effects and all kinds of ways. My job is to show teachers how to use it.
Yeah.
We also now have what we call a tech book, which is a science, social studies, and math online learning environments for classrooms.
So kind of suggested activities and supplementary.
Yeah, the tech is more than that, right? It's all of the content with text and media, hands-on activities, tools for assigning it, and things like that. But yeah, it's a learning ecosystem, if you will.
That's
and that's what I do in my day job, is like show teachers how to use that.
So there's a lot of, in the science media world, there's a lot of debate about networks like Discovery and the shows that they air, because yes, the guy who started it, he might have wanted to put this documentary stuff on TV, but the TV ecosystem kind of
entertainment.
Moved things different directions, and then we have, we had Shark Week programs that were kind of just pure entertainment and made up, and people are not happy with that. And I've heard that Discovery's coming back around and changing their content, making it more fact-based again. But I am reassured, because they have the educational arm, and that, like, hearing that people like you are educating the teachers of America, that's helpful.
Yeah, and the learning power of the different modalities of information, right? That's the whole point, is that students don't necessarily, I don't even want to say students today, because I don't know that I wouldn't have learned better if I had other things other than reading. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think we all know that if our classrooms had been something other than lecture-based and reading a chapter and outlining a chapter and hearing a lecture, and we might have learned better and or retained more, right? So that's the idea, is using that digital media as another form of information sharing. And Discovery, the parent company, is doing exactly what you said. They know that they have to be in the edutainment world to some degree.
You got to get ratings. You got to make sure you have eyeballs.
Spreading that around, right?
Yeah.
Trying to keep the Discovery Channel itself as pure, as informational as it can, and shift some of that other stuff over to like TLC or Science Channel and things like that.
That's why it's a network.
Correct.
Yes. It's no longer just Discovery Channel. It's Discovery
It's
Network.
A huge network of lots of things. Yeah.
That's exciting. So do you have here today, though? Are you doing hands-on experiments?
We are. So I'm sorry.
So you've got like food coloring all over you.
Yeah. So in our booth, we're doing a couple polymer experiments. One of them, my son's favorite, is the fact that balloons, which are made of a polymer, rubber, polymers stretch and they have gaps even if you can't see them. And so he's sticking wooden skewers. He's helping the kids see where to place the wooden skewer to be able to push it all the way through a balloon without popping it.
Which is like magic.
It is. Well, the title of my show that I did at 1 o'clock, I'll do again tomorrow at 1 o'clock, is If It Looks Like Magic, It's Probably Science, which is...
I love that.
Yeah. And so that's essentially my thing, right? Is helping kids demystify what they think is magic and understand that the more you know about the way the world works, the better you're going to be able to understand stuff, right? So we're doing that. We're making slime. We're tie-dyeing note card paper with shaving cream and food coloring. We've got a couple of sound explorations where they're exploring how sound travels through solids, liquids, and gases. And then my other son is pretty stuck, but he loves it. He's in the pool doing Alka-Seltzer rockets with
That's
film
fun.
canisters. So
Yeah.
just letting kids investigate and try things out and learn a little bit.
That's what I do. I have a 6-year-old,
Right.
and he and his best friend, an 8-year-old. I just give them things like they go in the backyard, and I give them little dishes and cups and things. And here's the baking soda, here's the vinegar, here's Diet Coke, here's ginger ale, here's seltzer water. Here, put these things together and see what happens. And it's a mess in my backyard, but that gets hosed down really easily. And the kids come back and they say, "Can we do that again? We made an experiment. We did something, you know, and we made a potion, or it bubbled out of control. Mommy, why did it do that?" You know,
Right.
and suddenly they're excited because they've done something on their own. I wasn't telling them what to do.
Right.
They explored it by themselves.
And that's the way kids should learn, right? Because that's the kind of stuff that sticks. And what we've tried to do, my kids have been helping me. I call them kids, but they're 18 and 21. So what I've been doing for years is making sure that they don't just put the stuff in the kid's hand and tell them what to do. That they kind of walk them through a little bit of the science that's going on.
Yeah.
And then talk to them about ways when they do this at home. I try to always do stuff that they can do at home.
Yeah.
That they investigate and try different variables and try different amounts of things. And for example, the Alka-Seltzer rockets, my son loves to tell kids to go home and try it with warm water versus cold water and see which one will happen faster. And so
Nice.
that's the idea is, you know, I do a lot of STEM programming with schools, and even though STEM traditionally, when you ask people what does STEM stand for, it's science, technology, engineering, math, I like to say solving the everyday mysteries, because what it really
I like
is,
that better.
I do too.
I like that because everybody's trying to add things into the acronym now.
Right, it
They're
doesn't
like,
need it.
Let's make it steam.
It
Let's
doesn't
make
matter
it
what
stream.
you call
Let's
it.
make it.
What it is learning stuff to understand it, to use it.
Yes. End of story.
Yeah.
Or it's the beginning of the story.
Yeah, that's true.
So your sons, do they have particular career interests related to science now?
So I have 4 kids actually, and
wow.
my oldest isn't here because he had to work, and he's in computer sciences. He loves this stuff, and he just graduated last year with a degree in web design and interactive media. My 21-year-old is a junior in college. He's studying anthropology.
Nice.
My 18-year-old actually wants to be a teacher, but he wants to be a social studies teacher.
Oh,
So
interesting.
he's kind of like, I don't know where he came he came in from the side. My daughter wants to be a pre-K teacher. She's also not here because she had a rehearsal. All of my husband volunteered at the Ren Fair, and she's on the Pirate Guild, and they had a rehearsal today.
The Pirate
I
Guild.
love it.
So let's see. You have a couple of teachers and a couple of scientists, and you were a teacher, and now you're a scientist.
Right. And then
she was a scientist, a teacher, and a science
It's a
teacher.
good story, and I don't know where he came from, but that's okay. It's good for having a little debates at tables, you know?
So
For
we
some
talk
good,
all the
lively
time.
conversation.
We talk all the time about nature versus nurture, right? So this is the perfect example of, you know, obviously it's in their genes, but it sounds like they were raised in a household where this kind of stuff was really
I would agree.
valued.
And they have been doing this kind of stuff with me since they were really little. If not behind the table, then come and go to all the stuff. So they've been exposed to this kind of stuff since they were really little. And I do agree. I think that some of it is in your genes and on your lab coat. But some of it is about what you're exposed to. And that's why I think things like this Young Innovators Fair are so important. We're seeing more of it in schools, but not enough.
Not enough
We're seeing
still.
more parents who are interested in doing it with their kids, but not enough. And I think that if we can kind of merge and encourage the mindset. Oh, there goes one of my. That's the historian right there. Hello, son.
Yes, we saw the both of you before we did we came onto this stage, the Lab
that's right.
stage.
Yeah.
Yes.
I just think that it just helps everybody around, right? Because the world has problems to solve, and we need to have people who can do it. So
I'll be very interested to see. I was just thinking about this actually while we were walking around, that it seems like there's so many more opportunities for people to find careers in the thing that they love.
yeah,
And it'll be really interesting to see this generation mature and to see a country full of adults doing what they love, hopefully.
Hopefully.
If it all works out. But that'll be a really interesting thing to see.
And the
because-
interesting thing with technology and this kind of stuff, even, or where because technology really, that's the other piece, right? Technology doesn't have to have a plug or a battery. It just means something that's been created by humankind to make human life better.
Yep.
So everything here is a technology. But regardless of that, the statistics say that 80% of the jobs that'll be around in 10 years from now don't exist right now.
Yeah.
And when you think about
We're inside
the
such a
jobs,
revolution at the moment.
we are in the middle. So
Yeah.
we need to make sure that we have people who know that they can follow those
Yes.
passions and those streams. And
Yeah.
I think that's part of the reason why we're seeing an upswing in the adults bringing their kids, because they're like, man, I wish this was here when I was a kid. Right?
Yes. Exactly. Yeah, and or even adults getting their kids involved in different after-school programs. I mean, we've been talking with the first robotics people, and then some other young women who are involved in some different robotics programs, and they're suddenly seeing an interest in coding and robotics and going into computer science, into these fields that are historically male-dominated, and they're they might have one young lady said, I thought I might have been a vet tech before. I thought that was all that was available to me.
Yep.
And you could be a teacher, you can work with animals, you can be a secretary. Now you can build things. You can make whatever you want if you learn how.
And that's the message we're trying to send to young women, especially because they do get disenfranchised at a certain age from, whether you talk about the fact that it's no longer cool to be smart or in science or whatever. We're changing that message. We're changing that idea so that students, especially young ladies, know that they can be whatever they want to be. I mean, one of the reasons why I became a food chemist was because when I went to school, interest in science, the only option I had was nursing and being a doctor.
Right.
And I really didn't want to do either of those. So when I graduated with a degree in science, I didn't know where to go, and I found a job for a chemist, and I happen to take that step, but most don't.
Yeah.
They go somewhere else. Or at least they did in my generation. Hopefully this generation will be different.
Yeah. I hope have ideas. Young people just have ideas and just go for them.
Yep.
Well, it's also one of the
stop
things
them.
we're trying to encourage in schools. There's a thing called Genius Hour that we're trying to get teachers to be doing with their kids. And it basically is, let's dedicate an hour of your week. We know you got a lot of stuff to do for tests and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
But let's dedicate an hour for your week in which the kids can just work on any project that they think is something that's important to solve some kind of problem in your local community or your school community or your home. And then the kids build these things and they design these solutions and then they present them in front of committees and learn a whole bunch of skill sets. And it's just, I'm involved through Discovery with something called the 3M Young Sciences Challenge, in which we have kids 10 kids come every year, 10 finalists. And the things that they create and innovate to solve problems is amazing because we let them, right?
Yeah.
And somebody gives them that opportunity, and that's what it's all about.
There are a lot of young kids innovating and creating, coming up with ideas to, like we were talking about, to take plastics out of the ocean. To come up with new ways to clean water. They're just so many different ideas. Just give a kid a problem.
Yeah.
And let them go
And
at
the
it.
funny thing is, I have a friend. He's in his mid-20s now, but he was on the Young Scientist Challenge about 6 years ago. His name is Jack Andraka. And
I know, I've heard him.
Yeah,
Yes.
so he came up with a diagnostic test for pancreatic cancer. And when he first proposed it to the competition, the professional scientist told him that's never going to work. It's too cheap. It doesn't cost enough. All this other stuff.
It doesn't cost enough.
Well,
it needs to cost more.
Right, and so the idea was, because it was simplistic and inexpensive, it wasn't going to work. And Jack stuck to it, and he won the Intel competition, and learned. He sold that device or that test to a pharmaceutical manufacturer who now, of course, is making it more complicated and costly.
Right.
But the idea was, when the kid did it, it was simple and inexpensive, and it worked.
Well, because kids haven't been told no enough yet.
Right.
They're willing to try stuff.
Right.
That adults, after a lifetime of no, stop
You're
themselves
you're
from
making
trying.
me feel bad for saying no to my son.
That's not what I meant. Different kind of no. That's no. Don't lean over that ravine is very different from no. You can't invent that. That's impossible.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the goal, right? Not to tell the kids it's impossible. As
Right.
often as possible, let them just try it. And so when I taught chemistry, I often had other chemistry teachers like looking at me sideways because I didn't give the kids instructions. I told them the goal.
Yeah.
And I said, here's all the stuff in the lab. You decide what you need and come to me. And as long as it's safe, I'll let you try it. And the other teachers were like, you have no control, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, but they're never going to learn if I just give them all the steps.
They're regurgitating.
Right.
And it's just, you figure,
just copying.
you do exactly what the lab book tells you to do. You copy
Yeah.
the experiment. I mean, my chemistry experience in college was exactly that, was
Yep.
going to lab and doing titrations and various other, putting things together in the exact proportions that I was told to. And then I left, you know, I got a reasonable grade in the course, but I left not understanding a single thing. And it was only years later when I got into my PhD that I had to dig into things more. And then I finally learned some stuff.
Right.
Yeah, if somebody asked you what one step of that titration, what it was doing, and why you were doing it,
I don't know.
yeah, absolutely. Which this whole kind of coming up with your own procedure, it's so great you've been doing that, because that's a big part of the next generation science standards, which we were talking about earlier.
Right.
And so now everyone's supposed to be doing
That is, and that's why I have a 9 to 5 job, or actually a 12 to 12 job in lots of airplanes, because that's exactly it, right? Traditional science teachers struggle because for years we've had this step-by-step, do what I do kind of approach, and the next generation science standards asks them to kind of flip that on the head.
Right.
And I try to help them see that it's not as painful as you think it is. It just means shifting your thought process a little bit and knowing that not everything's going to be perfect, but FAIL stands for first attempt in learning, and it's about, I love your acronym. Thank you. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I have to use them a lot, so I have a lot of them.
attempt.
I like
learning.
schwanks.
You're never gonna learn if you don't fail the first time, because that's how you figure out what went wrong.
Yep.
See, and I think there's definitely growing pains, especially because teachers are expected, or they're used to, teaching a unit in 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Beginning, middle, and done. That's not how this works. That's not how science works. That's not how learning works for every individual person.
Yeah.
So this is very exciting.
Yeah, we try to get teachers to not cover material, but to uncover an understanding, because that's the idea. Is I tell a story a lot. When I was in my room, I had on my wall, I painted the word "sposta" in big letters, SPOSTA, which I know is not a word. And then I put like one of those no smoking signs over it. And my classroom was an anti-sposta zone. Don't ask me, is this what was supposed to happen? What's this supposed to do? Am I supposed to stop? Am I supposed to start? Just tell me what did happen and we'll talk about it. And so, that's kind of the learning environment that we need for science today, is that students have to struggle through and they have to figure it out. Now, if we could just make teachers comfortable with that, because they also have to meet the needs of standardized tests and all that other fun stuff. There's a yin and yang, and we'll figure it out.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping that the new teaching methods, that it will actually increase aptitude on those tests when the testing
Studies
comes
show,
around.
And they're going to be new tests. So hopefully those tests will also reflect this new system.
Yeah.
But that's where Discovery Channel, zoos and aquariums, science museums, all these people come in, because they can help kind of bridge the gap when teachers are still uncomfortable with this new stuff. We have all sorts of framework to be able to hand them to help lead them along the path, which that's why the stuff that you're doing is so important. And
Thank you.
It's exciting.
It drives me every day and helps me when the fourth plane in a weekend has been canceled. Like, I got to get to that school district because these people need it. So,
I love that.
And it's about the kids. It really is. It's about the students. And, a lot of people ask me about not being in the classroom. I love the classroom. And I probably would go back to the classroom in a minute in the right environment. But the idea that I can travel to Texas and affect one teacher is going to affect 30 kids for the next 10 years and then
Yep.
travel to Canada and do the same thing.
Yep.
Go to New York and do the same thing in the same week.
Yep.
Means generations and generations of students who might be affected. And
You're having
that
an
kind
impact.
of impact,
Yeah.
really, it does get me going. And then I get to come here and do things like this on the weekends.
Yay!
Well, thank you,
Sounds like
ladies.
so much fun. Thank
Thanks
you so
so much for stopping by.
Yeah, I'm glad we
Yeah.
got a chance to talk with you.
Well, I
wonderful.
appreciate it. Thanks. I'm gonna. My husband is manning the fort. Oh, here you wanna.
Ah, yes. Ah, we're completing a circuit.
Yeah,
There we go.
we completed a circuit.
Complete a circuit. Oh yeah.
On that note, thank you so much, and
Capacitance
thanks for
of
doing what you're
circuit
doing
creation.
because spreading the word is important too.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful rest of the weekend. I hope you inspire many children. You're welcome.
Justin, what are you up to?
Justin's like, I'm gonna go take a break again.
So I'm going to stand here and not be on the stage while you're talking to someone, and then I'm going to walk away.
I'm starting to.
I know.
I need a cup of coffee. And a stick of
chemical
celery. Yeah, it's hydrating, energizing.
Oh, with the tuxedo shirt. Oh, very cool.
Oh,
So,
cool.
okay, so Justin found us a teacher
Okay,
that we're
so
going
he'll
to talk
come
to
back
tomorrow.
So we
Very
have
cool.
an interview scheduled for tomorrow that will be fantastic.
Nice.
We like hearing people's stories.
Excellent.
Get the energy back in.
I know. Chemical energy. Where is it?
Chemical energy.
We need some.
We make it go.
So, should we?
Three.
Do you want a story? Should I tell you a story?
Should we talk?
I can tell you a story.
Monkey's back. Hi, Monkey.
Oh my goodness.
Monkey and Kai are back watching. Hello, Monkey and Kai. I miss you. Haha. Let's see. I don't want to log back in again. I got all sorts of things here. All right, some stories. Ooh, you want to talk about smart birds?
Smart birds?
Remembering ravens that remember?
I don't remember when I talked about this.
You didn't talk about it.
Oh.
This is a new story.
Oh, it's a new story.
This is a new
Oh,
story.
you're going to tell me a story. Tell me a story.
I'm going to tell you a
Okay.
story.
I thought you were trying to tell me I had a thing to say. And I didn't know what that thing was.
No, maybe I just introduced it in a confusing way. Remember the raven?
No, I don't. I don't remember the raven.
All right, so we've talked before about the idea of ravens we know are smart, right? Ravens in the corvid family. They've got lots of memory abilities, food storing, all sorts of stuff, right? Okay. There are also stories, anecdotes about ravens remembering individuals and remembering who has wronged them.
Yeah.
So a new study published in Animal Behavior this month, the researchers basically gave these ravens fair or unfair treatment. And the birds that were treated fairly or unfairly by certain individuals remembered who those individuals were, changed their behavior toward those individuals based on how they'd been treated previously.
All right.
So we now have scientific evidence, experimental evidence that these anecdotes are very likely true.
Yeah, so the one that I remember, gosh, I think it was in high school. There's an episode of Nova about crows and on PBS, and these crows in a city park. So this is purely anecdotal, of course, right? So that's why we don't have the hardcore science yet. But the anecdote was that there was a crow researcher who used to hand out, I think it was peanuts to the crows in the park. And then he decided to try something else, and he wore a mask. And he was not nice to the crows when he was wearing the mask.
Yeah.
And then someone else wore that mask, and the crows avoided that person in that mask.
Exactly.
And then he came out in his normal face again, and they came over for peanuts. So facial recognition, we're pretty sure about, but the question is whether how they remember, how long they remember, what it is they're remembering. The crazy thing about that story on that episode of Nova that I saw was that there were generations of crows that were basically told by other crows, avoid that guy in the mask.
Yeah, so here's where it gets interesting in this particular study with ravens is that the birds that were not actually personally involved in these fair and unfair situations, they didn't remember anything.
Okay.
They didn't really, these birds that just watched it happen, they didn't really pick up on the fact that things were fair or unfair. So it was only the individuals who had been treated poorly. And so it was this experience that actually changed the birds' behaviors. The birds were remembering individuals and how they've been treated. This is important for reciprocity and future interactions with individuals. And the memories, as far as this experiment went on, lasted as long as 2 months. So they're a fairly long-term behavior. And then, the Ghostbusters are going on around here. And then I believe that I don't think this was passed on. I don't think this was passed on between individuals either. So let's see, it says, ravens with first-hand experience were more likely to interact with experimenters with whom they'd had previous positive experiences. So liking those positive ones.
Right.
Observers didn't distinguish at all, but they didn't have any, they didn't study teaching. They didn't know, they didn't show whether there was any kind of learning taking place. So I don't know how that crow experiment would have shown that. I don't know whether that was anecdotal or not, but it doesn't seem as though in this raven experiment that part of the paradigm was copied.
Right. Yeah, there's definitely information in the corvid world that gets passed on from generation to generation, but I don't think they've figured out the mechanism yet, which is the part that I think is really interesting about that whole element. Is how are they telling each other what's up? But in this, the memory, being able to identify that it is a memory and how long it's very, corvids are smart.
They are, and I mean, this corvids are smart. We've said this before, but this kind of memory is very important. They are social animals,
right?
And so we've talked before on the show about how sociality, being social, you interacting with other individuals of your kind, kind of does require memory. You need to remember who's done you wrong. You know, if you're, I'm Justin's not here, so I'm going to totally malign car sales. But if you go to a car salesman and he is giving you a bad deal and you're pretty sure he sells you a junker,
right?
You're not going to go back to that same car salesman again.
No.
You want the car salesman who sold you the really great car that you're really in love with, so you'll tell your friends about it.
Or if you schedule lunch with the same person 3 times and they flake on you 3 times in a row, you're probably not going to do a 4th.
Right, and so you remember those interactions, and it informs your future behavior and your future choices. So memory is very important for social interactions. Yeah. And we would have a really hard time of it as humans if we didn't have a memory of our personal interactions. And so why would social animals like birds be any different?
Well, and for even social animals like ants, it's important for them to be able to know who gives reciprocal treatment and who does not. This is actually with bats. I have a study that I can talk about.
The best of that.
They regurgitate blood into each other's mouths.
Oh, you didn't get a blood meal? Here, have some of mine.
Yeah, but if they don't, if they know that this one particular bat is really stingy about giving them blood when they're hungry, they're less likely.
They're not going to share
with them. Yeah.
Science of vampire bats.
I don't know. You were very stingy with your regurgitated blood last week, so I won't be regurgitating any blood into your mouth today. Sorry.
Yeah, no.
Should have thought about that last week when I was hungry. I'm hungry now, but I'm not hungry enough for regurgitated blood.
No, I'm not. I don't know. Yeah, not hungry enough for regurgitated blood at all. Let's see. What other awesome stories do we have to talk about? Oh, body language. This one's a little. This one's a little bit. This is interesting. Body language is interesting because we have so many subtle cues for communication. Hello. I just got a hi guys from a very cute attendee. Hello. So body language, it offers up many subtle cues for us to be able to understand how people are feeling, because these things might not come across in the things that are said, but do come across in the way somebody holds themselves, carries themselves. I don't know. Right now I've got my legs crossed and my arms across my body.
You're kind of mad.
I'm not mad. This is just the easiest way to sit here. I've got my arms crossed because it's supporting the microphone.
Yeah.
so I'm not actually holding it up. This is an energetically efficient posture for me at the moment. But there are programs like the one about the micro expressions in facial expressions, all these little cues that our brain learns to pick up on to understand what message people are really putting across. And there was a study that was put out this week through investigators at not at Stanford University. It was Stanford University, and they took body cam footage of cops from Oakland, California.
Oh.
So this is, first off, a very interesting environment in terms of interactions, what's happening in Oakland, California these days. Just a very interesting environment. And so these body cam footages, they looked at the total content of what happened in the interactions, but they looked also at body language. And so the results that they were taken from more than 36,000 language snippets at every 1,000 stops. And what they found is that, let's see, what did they find here? That United States police were less respectful in their language with black drivers. So we've got language and body language.
Surprise!
Yeah, that language everything was a little less respectful with certain people. And that is not a big surprise.
Yeah.
But maybe these kinds of studies can help inform how police are trained for future interactions. Because very often there are implicit biases or unconscious biases in the way we interact with people. And if we can overcoming them is acknowledging them and being trained out of them.
Right. So I'm thinking about two things in relation to that, which is interesting. So the first being that, is their disrespectful body language an indication of already conceived guilt?
I don't know.
Right?
We don't know.
The other side of that, is the disrespectful body language aggressive and causing things to escalate more quickly than they might otherwise?
Actually, yeah, just the if they're defining it as respectful versus disrespectful, of course you're going to react negatively to disrespectful behavior. That's going to be my knee-jerk reaction.
Right, absolutely. But then also I'm wondering if the disrespectful body language is because a preconceived notion of guilt.
And based on the study, yes.
Yeah. It's very important to know.
It is very important to know, and can affect future interactions between people if people are trained appropriately. All right, everybody.
When we talk about numbers and case studies and things that people look at, having 1,000 looks at this is a pretty significantly large sample size.
Yeah, it is. This isn't a small sample set. They actually took a fairly large sample set, and this is pretty robust. This is a pretty robust result. I'm sure it's not a perfect study, but because we're looking at human interpretation of what's respectful and not respectful.
Yeah, and this is a perfect example of where science and social science meet, right? So we can use, and math. So statistics, scientific practices, experimentation practices, and social context to actually make some interesting conclusions and try to start informing future decisions and enacting change. And you can sit here all day and just say like, oh, well, obviously cops treat black people different, right? But until you have data,
Now we have
data, we can actually talk about it, and we can talk about why it's happening, and kind of
And
examine a little closer the dynamic.
So one of the things that I used to recommend to new DJs at KBS when we were doing the radio show would be to go back, listen to your show, and count up. Take out a pad of paper, and for your first episodes, count up how many times you uttered
or like,
and then once that becomes obvious to you, never do it again. But you have to recognize it first.
I totally know what you mean.
like I say like a lot.
Like, oh my god.
Oh my god, like what?
Like, isn't this fun to listen to?
Like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, I'm from California. Which I am. Hi, Fiber in Denver. It's on. Yes, Fiber in Denver. Think of the good that can come from recognition. That's what we are thinking about. That's what we are trying to think about. Recognizing is half the battle, isn't it?
Yes, it's difficult to fix a problem before you know what it is.
Blair, you have adopted a very, kind of like DJ MC mic holding posture here.
This is hour 6. This is how I'm doing it now.
I'm enjoying watching our body postures as the day goes on. I hope everyone out there
At the end of the day, I'll be
picking up on things.
There's something called slime time going on.
You wanted to see the slime time. Oh, the Ghostbusters are doing their sliming at the moment.
I told them to bring some slime over later.
Are they going to bring slime for us?
Nice.
Awesome. Yep. We're going to get some Ghostbusters
I hope so.
That would be
back when I was a child. There was something called Slime Time Live that I watched every day after school.
There's also something going on right now called Become a Super Science Girl.
That did we talk to some of them? No. Did we talk to the Super Science girls? No. Girls Know How. Yeah, that's a good group. Girls Know How is another
Also right
trying
now, Young Ecological Innovators are on stage.
Yeah, Girls Know How is a great group trying to increase the involvement of girls in the sciences. In the what is it? What's her STEM acronym?
Oh. Something explaining magic.
No, that's not it at all. No.
I was like, I'm going to steal that acronym. Nope, I'm going to forget it.
Yeah, the acronym. Every day.
Systematically teaching and explaining.
Every day.
No. Everyday magics.
We're going to have to go find her and ask her.
I know, we have to get her to tell it to us again. We'll have to find her.
Yeah. Well, maybe she'll come back over tomorrow.
All right, Miss Duncan. We're going to come talk with you again.
But what was fail? I remember what was fail.
I have no memory anymore.
First attempt in learning.
First attempt in learning.
I remember 50%. I got 50% on that.
Good job. 50%. That's failing. It was your first attempt in learning.
I think it was systematically teaching every day matter.
Was it systematically? Why are you guys stuck on systematically? I don't think it was systematic.
Every day something.
Yeah, that's true. I don't remember. I'm trying to work it out. But you know what? I'm going to move on. Moving on to another fun science story. How about we talk about, so we've been talking about innovation, right? So let's talk about this new innovation from kind of old idea. So we would love to take the energy from the sun. We were talking about solar panels and all that stuff earlier today, and it'd be wonderful to take the energy from the sun to be able to do things like split carbon dioxide into oxygen, which we can use for fuel, and carbon monoxide, which can be used in the production of biofuels. So if you just knock off one of the oxygens from carbon dioxide, it becomes a more utilizable molecule. It becomes something that is energetically usable for fuel. So researchers have been trying to figure out, we've got these processes, electrolysis, you got electricity running through, and there's a catalyst, and you use water, and you bubble up carbon dioxide through the water, and then the electricity goes, and then you've got molecules, atoms recombining with other atoms, and so but it's a very expensive thing to do because the catalysts are usually very expensive. You usually have to use some kind of metal that isn't cheap to be able to create these catalysts. So it's something that's awesome in theory or in practice in the lab, but not actually.
Too much money to do. Well, that's too bad.
But
any other stuff? Oh.
This is the innovation. So I'm describing the historical aspect. This is the innovation. Okay. I'm
glad it's going somewhere.
This is going somewhere.
I thought you were just raising my hopes and then dashing them immediately.
No. So a graduate student researcher at the Swiss Federal Institute of Technology in Lausanne, Switzerland, Michael Schreier, has been looking into how these copper catalysts actually work to split carbon dioxide and how they can be used. And normally, I guess there's like a lot of copper that's used as a catalyst, which makes it really expensive. But he discovered if you put it with a tin oxide electrode, you can use a smaller amount, and it's tin. It's not an expensive compound. And so he actually was able to split the water, split the carbon dioxide, just like the copper catalysts that are much more expensive, but using this tin compound instead.
A fraction of the cost.
And he said that his discovery, like all the great science that we love talking about, was serendipitous.
Oh, was it a mistake?
Yes, it was just like he was in the right place at the right time and happened to be looking at this stuff, and things fell into place for him to find it.
He ran out of budget.
Right?
Had to
He went to the scrapyard.
Something that looked like a working model. So in the real version, it would actually split the oxygen up, but actually it worked.
Yeah, so they've been working on the design now to make it more efficient and to speed it up so it actually works in a good amount of time. They published in Nature Energy this last week that their new strategy converts 90% of the carbon dioxide molecules into carbon monoxide with hydrogen. 90%. And so they hooked it up to a solar cell, and that they 0.4% of the energy of the captured sunlight was converted into the carbon monoxide's chemical bonds. This is better than plants. Plants convert about 1% of the sun's energy into chemical bonds. This is 13.4%. This is much better. And this is far above and beyond other chemical catalysts that are currently being studied and used. So this is a fast, efficient, and inexpensive new catalyst.
That's awesome.
It is awesome. So, it's not done. This isn't, the nail in the coffin. This is the beginning of the process to create this catalyst in a way that can be used in applications like hydrogen fuel cells and other things. But this is where we're going to be getting to everybody having their own fuel cell. We're going to be with catalysts. We've been looking for catalysts like this. This is a thing where you'll be able to have your house. This is what we need to make it possible for you to have your house with solar panels, powering a hydrogen fuel cell with this catalyst, and splitting water and carbon dioxide, and not releasing carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, but turning it into or using it in power plants or in gas capture technologies, or at coal plants where carbon dioxide is an off gas, is a byproduct. What do you do with that byproduct? Maybe you can take it and use and create even more energy from.
Because then you could just go straight to the power plants and say, would you like to make more money for doing what you're doing right now?
Exactly. Yes.
It's what we were talking about earlier. The
How can
easier
we do that?
option is
How can we do that, Blair?
is the one that will work, right? So
Yes.
if you can make the correct option easy, it's likely to catch on. So that'd be perfect.
Blair is a terrific saleswoman.
Can
It's
we
the
make it
reason.
easy?
It's the reason San Francisco now has monorail.
That's right.
Yeah. Russell Coleman is
Both
saying,
of my parents are salesmen, so they'd be proud.
Monorail.
Especially when I spent my entire childhood helping them out at wholesale shows and things like that, and going, I can't sell. I can't sit here saying that this $200 purse with a butterfly on it is worth $200. I gotta go.
I have never thought of myself as a salesman.
No,
At
just
all.
promoter of good things.
Absolutely. When it comes
Yeah.
to talking about, when I'm in a conversation and something comes up and I'm passionate about, and I'm like, oh, this new thing, and blah, 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 you can't stop me from talking about it and trying to convince other people that it's exciting and they should want to think about it too, but if it's,
Yeah, so I can sell things that I believe in
I don't know.
very easily.
I still have a hard time calling people and saying, hi, I have a podcast.
Yeah,
It's called
That's true.
TWIS.
that's true.
Hi. I'm working on
Yeah,
it, though.
I can promote other people
I'm working on
that I
it.
believe in.
Here's self-promotion is hard.
Self-promotion is hard. I did a thing. Do you want to see it? It's because we're supposed to be humble. That's why. It's difficult to be humble when you're trying to sell yourself.
In about 5 minutes on the Builders Boulevard Inspiration Stage, that's the one right in the middle of everything. Raising Young Innovators
Oh.
and Still Being Able to Save for College by Michael Carroll. That'll be going on. That
Nice.
sounds like a lot of fun. On the science stage, hey, that's where we were. Pluto in the 21st century solar system. Dr. Frank Sumners will be speaking. And on the performance stage, clean, positive, age-appropriate hip-hop by David Dawes.
That sounds awesome.
Oh, wait, that's the one in the center. The inspiration's towards the back of the building. For raising young innovators and still being able to save for college.
So that brings up something interesting that I was kind of hoping to have a chat with you guys about today, and that is
Maybe we should have a chat
yeah.
now. Is it time for a chat?
it's time for a chat. It's time for Blair's chat corner,
There's Charity Corner.
and that's
Blair.
about raising innovators. That made me think about raising scientists, and more particularly raising skeptics. So part of being a scientist is recognizing what is good data and what is bad data, what is a good source and what is a bad source. And there's so much about current technology that makes science a lot easier. But one hurdle in particular right now is that there's information abound. And it is very difficult to tell good information from bad information. I think it's a really important step in the process of raising innovators, raising scientists, is to raise skeptics.
So-
is to raise little scientists that know how to recognize good data.
So one example of this that I get a lot is folks will come up to me and go, what about the pyramids in South America? People couldn't build them. And I know exactly what they're referencing, which is History Channel's The Ancient Aliens shows, where they will present something like, how did they do it? Nobody knows.
Yeah.
But actually, scientists do know.
Yeah,
they have it
they do
quite well
know.
figured out. There's quite a bit of archaeological evidence of how things were built in the past. But if you just ask the question and then act as if nobody knows, and then put something rather implausible in its place, and it's the only option you've given, that's the only source you're given, that's what you may end up believing.
And I think part of this also ties into the kind of the friend effect, or where you watch these programs, and even though you don't know the hosts, you don't, this is just a program on TV, you come to think, your brain comes to think of a channel or a certain program or a certain host as a friend, as somebody, and it becomes this, because your brain accepts them
Which means
into
you
your,
should trust them.
yeah,
Like you trust
it
us.
accepts,
Like you've always
it accepts
trusted
them
us.
into your tribe, and so you trust the information that comes from that source, whether or not it is actually correct. So one of the things, as much as we love people to trust This Week in Science, I hope people go out and fact check us, or
Go to our website and read the article.
read the article.
in our
Did
show
I get
notes.
something wrong?
Look for parallel or
Talk to other people about
perpendicular
it.
information. But
Exactly.
it's also it's kind of directly related to that is the fact that you can search almost anything and find it. So last night, Justin and I were having a debate about whether koalas are called koalas or koala bears, and so his
Google.
evidence
Hey, Google.
what do you
call a koala?
was to Google the word koala bear. Or no,
No.
he Googled Australian bear,
Australian bear.
and pictures of the koala came up, right? And so that's exactly it, is that if there is a misconception, there is some sort of proof for it on the internet somewhere. So, and now,
there's probably more actually, what would you call it? Urban legend reinforcing feedback on it than there is clarifications.
I am really having issues, you guys, with the resurgence of the interest in flat Earth.
yes,
This is really giving me a headache. I have
their entire, there are Facebook groups with like hundreds of people in them where they're all discussing all of the reasons that the Earth is actually flat.
This is
one of
not
the
a
things-
thing to be worried about.
It's not a thing to be worried about, but here's the one piece of it. What gets to me the most is they say they're faking it. You know, they've got these cameras, these pictures. It's all digitally created. This, you know, you go up. There's no pictures of the Earth. You know, those pictures of the Earth from outer space. You know, we haven't been that far away. How could we have taken that picture?
Yeah.
You know, and then there's even pictures from the International Space Station. Astronauts who have been on the International Space Station.
It's live.
It
You can
shows-
get that live
you can
on
watch it
Facebook. You can
live.
watch the live camera.
You know, but sure, that camera, it could be faked, right? Right? But the astronauts who have been to space and come back and talk about their experiences,
They're lying, I
these
guess.
people are basically saying that those astronauts who have spent their lives training to go into space are lying. That they're not helping. And so that's the thing that gets to me the most, is this disrespect of evidence.
Right. So I guess that
I don't know what else they need.
There's a difference
They
between
need to go themselves.
being a skeptic and being distrustful.
Yes.
So those are kind of the different things, right? So if there's a peer-reviewed scientific article and they tell you that their data is significant and they give you their R values and all this kind of stuff, at a certain point, you're not going to run that statistical analysis, right? You have to trust that academic body. You have to trust those researchers that they did their research properly, and more importantly, you have to trust the scientific community that they all read it and agree. At a certain point, there has to be a level of trust. You have to trust everyone because, you have to trust individuals that have authority in certain areas, because we can't personally do research on everything every time we want to believe a thing.
Absolutely. So that's the thing. You don't have to know everything in order to trust the information you get. You just have to know how much you don't know about something.
Right.
And know how much knowledge it takes to actually be an expert in something.
Absolutely.
I think that's a crucial point there that you just made, Justin, that you have to know how much you don't know.
It's the first one.
No, but it's acknowledging. It's acknowledging people. This is something that I learned when doing my PhD, is that the hardest thing for people is to acknowledge that they don't know something. You know, and this is a trap for all academics also, is standing up when somebody asks you a question about your research, saying, I don't know. I can't answer that question. That is a very hard thing to come to terms with. And so you think of yourself as an intelligent person, but you have a view on the world. And so the question, you know, then you get to the point of having to acknowledge you don't know something. I think that's a very hard jump for
And
people.
while it
But
never
also
happens
knowing
to
where
me,
to go to find out what you don't know. Too.
Yes.
So knowing who to talk to about it. So it's what you were just talking about a little bit ago, about how you were researching these bird brains. And if you didn't know something to do with, let's say, a way a hormone interacted with neurons or whatever it is, right? You'd know who to call or who to email or who to talk to, to fill in that puzzle piece.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I don't know what to do about that. videos on the internet. My son watches YouTube videos, and then he comes to me and he says, Dan, TDM said this. So-and-so said this.
Yeah.
And he trusts these people on their YouTube channels. And the only thing that these people, they're gamers. They're playing Minecraft. They're playing Roblox. They're gaming on the internet. That's the only thing that they have really experience in. Yet my son is listening to them talk about all sorts of other things and is believing, because he thinks my son, he has a relationship with these people now.
Right. Well, it's people consider YouTube social media.
Yes.
Which that can be tough. It definitely is two-way, but it's kind of like you're watching through a one-way mirror almost as a viewer of YouTube, right? Because you're getting something back, and then you can send information forward, but then it doesn't quite come back. It's not a complete back and forth through YouTube.
Right.
So there's kind of this barrier to making it an actual social experience to the effect that other social media platforms, or just talking to people in real life, can have that. So it's definitely, it makes it a little bit different, and it's a little bit harder if you can't recognize that these people are maybe experts in a thing, which in this case Minecraft, right?
Yeah.
But that doesn't make them experts in career advice,
in everything, right? Yeah.
or anything else. Yeah.
Yeah. So for the
there's been a number of I noticed over the years what we would refer to as climate change deniers, scientists who have come out against global warming, or the idea that it could be possibly man-made.
yes.
And a lot of the time I've noticed these folks tend to have a degree in something other than climate.
Yeah.
There's been more than a few geologists, but if you don't broaden beyond just your field, because we're not getting information on climate just from climatologists. It's also from geologists and chemists and biologists and physics. It's the whole spectrum of the sciences that
we're not
contribute to the
within
understanding.
just one discipline. Yeah, it's cross disciplines. And like we were talking about this last week, now a lot of the data sets are open so that researchers and individuals from around the world can access the data themselves. And so if you want to do the analysis, like Richard Mueller from UC Berkeley, he's a skeptic, and so he was kind of listening.
Mueller's a great example.
He's a great example, and he's done some great work in terms of teaching physics. He's made like the series on teaching physics to non-scientists, and so he's a good communicator himself.
But very vocal skeptic.
Very vocal skeptic.
Global warming at first. So he was listening to the evidence and listening to what he saw out there, and he saw that there was room for doubt. And he was also he's a physicist, and he was highly critical of some of the methodology, and very suspicious of how numbers were derived, and cast a vocal public shadow over the sciences from a very respected physicist.
But then he got his hands on the data, and this is where it's brilliant. He did the analyses the way that he thought they should be done, and he found evidence of climate change. He saw the same results as everybody else, but he had to do it himself. He said, I'm a skeptic, you guys. I'm going to do the analysis. Let me, an experienced physicist who knows how to work with data sets, let me do the analysis. And he too was convinced by the evidence, the preponderance of evidence.
And what I really like about that story too is he was funded, that study that he participated in was funded by folks who typically only fund science that comes out with an anti-climate change scenario.
And he didn't let that color his conclusion either.
No, not at all.
He was a real scientist about it, which is great. Can we make that a compliment?
Real?
You're a real scientist. Thanks for being a real scientist about this,
Thanks for being a real scientist. You betcha.
But yeah, the other side of that I loved was that they went to try to repeat the results of the 5% or 3% of climate papers that prove that global warming is not happening. None of them were replicable. None of them.
Oh, so we talk about the 97%
consensus.
That there are all these scientists and papers that agree that the data aligns, suggesting that this is in fact happening, right?
Right.
There's 3% though, the outliers. There's 3% of all the papers out there.
Right. Which, by the way, is,
But
in
many
terms
of them are
statistics, is a really small number.
very small number.
That would be a low enough number for a drug trial, to start using a drug, for anything, any other science. 3%, yeah. You got it.
We've
This
got
thing
the
is
right.
definitely happening.
This thing's happening.
But
Yes.
then this 3%, they could not replicate a single study.
Wow. So replicability of those studies that were dissenting from the consensus was not found.
No.
Love it. All right. So, well, the data's there.
The data's there.
The communications is still being worked on.
Yeah, and I mean, it makes sense. It's a complicated thing that has a lot of stakeholders.
Yes.
So unfortunately, the water is muddy in getting the information to the masses. It's muddy waters. So trying to get the real information out there and the next steps out there, which is the other really important part, right? So to tell people, well, San Francisco, Venice, Florida, the entire state of Florida, all going to be gone. Like, that's not a productive conversation.
That's like you're going to lose your city.
Yeah, people don't want to hear that. They'd like to hold on to anything that might tell them that that's not going to happen. So, of course, if you tell people that without a way out, they will want to be skeptics.
Right, but I think as so like when we were younger people, events like this weren't showing up all the way across the country.
Right.
So these young innovators and STEM fests that are going on, what we're seeing is the next generation that is going to be interested and excited about science and is going to be following data to a much greater degree likely than we.
Well, and that's the thing. So I run educational programs at a zoo. And so a lot of those programs and programs at the aquarium I worked at before focused on climate change. We teach kindergarten through 12th grade about this stuff. And I do not get climate change deniers in my classrooms. Granted, that's in the San Francisco Bay Area, but when you explain the mechanics, what's at stake, and give them ways out of this problem, or open it up for them to come up with solutions to this problem, it's not as scary, and it makes sense. So that, I think that's really, we were talking just a minute ago about how young minds are not accustomed to giving up early, right? They're more open to options. They're open to new ideas, and they're less colored by opinions that
Oh my goodness.
are
Oh my
less
goodness.
than productive.
Did you bring us slime?
Yeah, did you bring us some slime? Yes, come on up.
We got Ghostbusters with slime. If he's running away, Justin, if you're running away, you better buy me a cup of coffee.
Me too.
We have 2 chairs. Come have a seat.
No, you said. I talked earlier.
Come on in.
I really did.
There you go.
There you go. Share.
Hi. So we have to get kind of close to the microphones.
Like this.
Sounds good.
Sorry.
I'm like, what? Yes. Ghostbusters of New York? No.
Yeah, New York City.
New York City. You came all the way out here from New York City?
Yeah,
That's
drove the
cool.
Ecto all the way from New York.
That's fantastic. Do you get people on the side of the road like waving at you and
Yeah.
The funniest part is you'll be driving and you'll see somebody with their cell phone in one hand and then their car will start to veer off.
Oh no!
Yeah, and then you're like, oh, no, don't hit me.
that is fantastic. So with your compatriot earlier, making slime with kids. How'd your show go? You had a show just a little while ago.
I think we rocked it.
Yeah. Very
To
good.
put it lightly.
There you go.
It was my first time doing the show, so I was a little bit nervous.
but I remembered most of my lines, so I think it was okay.
Yeah, she did a good job. And then
Yeah.
thankfully we didn't have any real major audio visual.
And I got a really
Problems.
good shot too with Slimer. Like the first show we did earlier today, I was trying to get the donut to land right on him. Second show, he totally turned that into a hula hoop. So I call that a success.
That's a success. So there was no crossing of the beams or
No,
The stream-
no,
the
no
streams.
total platonic reversal. We were good. This time at least.
That's awesome. So can I play with? Can I see your slime?
There you go.
Oh, this is nice slime. It's not like slimy slime.
No.
It's professional slime.
It's professional slime.
Ooh.
See if everybody can.
That is a cross-linked polymer gel.
This is a cross-link polymer gel.
Yep.
And it's made out of what again? I think you said it earlier. But
Elmer's glue and borax laundry detergent.
so what is it that binds together from those ingredients that makes the polymer?
So you
What's
could
going on in
imagine,
there?
you could imagine a tub of spaghetti if you want. So basically the polymers in the Elmer's glue are like they're kind of like spaghetti.
Okay.
And the borax is what creates the chemical reaction which binds the polymers together. So that's why it's a cross-linked polymer gel, because the borax or sodium tetraborate, if I pronounce that correctly, acts as that's what cross-links the polymers in the Elmer's glue.
That's really cool. I guess, yeah, because it goes, and then it sticks to itself. The glue now sticks to itself instead of wanting to stick to other things.
We've tried using cornstarch in the past, but it takes so much of it, and it's such a tedious process. It just makes it so much easier, especially for kids, to just learn how to make. You know, they don't care if it takes a half hour to make slime. They just want to know what a polymer is and just get right down to it.
Absolutely.
And although we try to explain the process of it, in reality, we have to keep it moving and create a good product in a quick amount of time to get the most impact with the children that we deal with.
Are you getting does this get a great reaction from the kids? They're like, I made slime, and
Yeah.
they run off and throw it at each other.
I
And
just ran to Uno Pizza right around the corner, and we're sitting there waiting for the pizza, and this girl walks in that we had done the made slime with, and she was holding it and still playing with it while she was getting food. So
that's great. This is going to take over from the fidget cubes and the
I hope
fidget.
so.
It's not going to be fidget spinners in classrooms.
That's a fad.
It's going to be slime.
This is like a classic fidget spinner.
Classic, yes. Teachers, yes. If the teachers want to get rid of the noisy fidget spinners, have your class make slime.
Yeah.
It'd be good. Already doing it. It is. There you go. It's just like it's the thinking
Stress
putty.
reliever.
Thinking putty for ghost-friendly individuals.
She's really excited about it.
She's very, very excited. So, how's the rest of the day going? So, you've had the show, and you've got your booth where you're making slime, and kids are coming around. Is it all good?
yeah, so far so great. This is our first time at the Young Innovators Fair. We came here last year or the year before to try to brainstorm to improve our program.
Oh, cool.
And to see if we could get some ideas. And we ended up meeting Chad, and he invited us to the Brick Fest and kind of try us out, see how we were as a group. And I guess he liked us since we're here. And this is our first time doing this, so we're very excited to be here.
So how did you go? Because it's fun to dress up as the Ghostbusters. I've dressed up as Ghostbusters for Halloween previously. We had a whole Ghostbusting group, and we made our own proton packs, and this is all fun. But how do you go from just having fun being Ghostbusters and driving the Ecto-1 around New York City and just kind of waving at people to doing educational programs?
Well, if you notice on our name tags, what separates Ghostbusters from cosplay is that we're our own people. We're our own individuals. We're not pretending to be Bill Murray. We're not pretending to be Egon or any of the new people from the new movies. We're our own entity. So I go by Eric Cudworth. I'm just a Ghostbuster. This is like my whole job. And I guess what we try to do to bridge the gap, and the reason why we did this is in the Ghostbuster community, giving back is a main thing. And we wanted to develop a program that would educate the younger generation, get them excited about science. Well, we're a STEAM driven organization, so we want to get the younger generation interested and excited about science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. And what better way to do that by integrating Ghostbusters into that learning environment?
It's taking it to the next level. Yeah, going beyond cosplay into actually impacting the world around you. That's fantastic. I think I've seen videos. You guys have like Ghostbusters of New York like videos online or something. I think I've seen them.
We're everywhere, really.
You're everywhere. I think I've run across. I may have run across your website.
Yeah, we do all sorts of events too, not necessarily only working with kids. We also work with adults and anyone you can think of. We've yet to come across an age group that isn't excited to see us. Maybe like the infants, the 6-month-olds have no idea.
No idea. They're still like, I don't recognize the color blue.
but we're coming for them for sure. Maybe Slimer rattles or something. We'll think of something. But yeah, like I like getting involved in the community, and a lot of people in our group, sometimes they may be shy people in everyday life, but when they wear the costumes, I guess they're the more extroverted version of themselves. When I started with the group, I would be okay with just being behind Slimer, and that to me was okay. And I remember the first event we did where people were crowding us to take pictures. Big like whoa moment for me, but now like I'm okay. Like today I hyperventilated a little bit before I went on stage, but then I did the show with them, so it's, helps me get out there and just be comfortable in things I necessarily wouldn't do on an everyday basis.
I think that's fabulous. And so are you a nonprofit or just an organization?
We're not an official. We're not registered as not-for-profit. Okay. We definitely. I don't make money off this. If I could quit my day job and do this as a living, I would love that. If we could get the group to a point where we could become a non-for-profit and actually step back and make enough money to support our families, we would. But the process to become a not-for-profit is kind of pricey.
Yeah.
But
not simple.
Yeah. We try to anything that we make, we try to recycle back into the group and push that out.
We work with the Massachusetts Ghostbusters in that event, and the money that we raise for that weekend, we basically help them donate money to one of the children in Massachusetts. So
cool.
I guess that's what we're non-profit, but the money we make, we either use the money we use kind of charity, or we use the money to buy more supplies so that we can continue to do our slime labs. So,
got it. Awesome. This is cool. Did you have anything to add? We're holding the microphones away from you.
Sorry, no, they cover everything. These guys are awesome.
Thanks for coming over and bringing the slime. There's
Keep
new
that if
fidget
you
toy.
It's all yours.
Don't eat it.
Don't eat it.
Yeah.
Don't eat it. Don't feed it after midnight.
Elmer's glue is non-toxic, but you put the borax in there. No, don't do that.
No, bad.
It doesn't taste good anyway. So the test is not good.
It's not mint flavored? It's not mint flavored. Okay. It's not a McDonald's Shamrock Shake.
All right.
It looks like.
Or maybe it's a McDonald's Shamrock Shake that's been there too long.
Oh.
It has turned.
Yeah.
Like it. Thank you guys so much for coming
thank
by.
you for coming by.
Appreciate it. I love what you guys are doing.
Okay.
Thank you.
I will gladly keep the slime. Justin, come over here.
Come back, Justin. I'm listening to this awesome.
This line, I'll be right back.
And not surprised, that was the Ghostbusters, I think, drew the biggest crowd of the day out of any.
I'm sure they drew a very large crowd. Who's on right now? What are we listening to? Oh, here we go. Clean, positive, age-appropriate hip-hop. Diva Dolls. They're good. Diva Dolls.
Some crazy slammer right there.
It is some crazy slammer right there. Some crazy slammer right there. It does look like GAC. It's kind of like GAC, pretty much. Haha, Identity 4, I like your little rep. There's something strange in the science booth. Who are you gonna call? Ghostbusters! That was a fun conversation. Fun conversation. Fun conversation. I'm starting to get that end of the afternoon kind of silliness factor, and we're kind of drowned out by just fine. But I don't.
Go take a break.
You're just
Can't hear
gonna.
anything anyway, 'cause,
I know it's loud. I mean, if I talk like this, then maybe people can hear me. But the music's kind of loud. Identity 4, Philadelphia, or at least the Young Innovators Fair. It's fantastic so far. We got to tour Phoenixville yesterday evening. We had a wonderful Lyft driver who took us on a tour of the downtown strip, told us about all the good restaurants, or at least all the restaurants that he was like, that's a really popular restaurant. I don't like it. Too expensive. That's a really good that's a restaurant. I don't like it. Too expensive. And then he took us to the drive-through beer store.
That is cool.
We were driven through the drive-through beer store. That was an experience through beer stores. Never done that before. You know what? I like experiences. It's good. What? Oh. Oh, yeah. Oh, it's good.
What happened?
She just threw a goldfish in my mouth.
Oh, you chipped my tooth.
Oh my goodness, this is what happens when we've been talking continuously. Right, Identity 4.
Did you wash your hands? You didn't, did you? Oh my God.
Drive-through beer stores in Philadelphia. Oh my goodness. But you know what NASA has? NASA has a class of new astronauts. This is very exciting. They chose 12 new astronaut candidates from a pool of over 18,000 applicants. So, what is this? Basically, 0.1% became astronauts.
Wow, that's not really good odds, I guess.
0.1% of the applicants
You
to
gotta
become
have
NASA astronauts were
The
chosen.
right stuff.
12 new astronaut candidates from 18,000, more than 18,000. 7 men, 5 women. So we have a very good representation of women this year, which is fantastic. Backgrounds diverse from being fighter pilots and engineers. There's some marine biologists and physicians. Blair's giving me a thumbs up as she eats goldfish over there. So they're going to start, they're a class now. Now they're going to astronaut school.
So
and they're going to train for 2 years.
from that list, though, you know, the engineers could always have the fallback crew of still working for NASA.
Right, engineering
And
for
the
NASA.
physicians as well, I suppose.
Physicians, maybe. I
Marine
mean,
biologists.
sending people. So the question is, what?
Water.
Oh yeah, all the water on Mars. That's what the marine biologists are going to be studying. Of course. Underwater organisms on Mars.
Oh, wait, so these people are going to Mars?
Well, possibly. This class is probably one of the first that will be in the timing. Yeah, they'll be in the pipeline for being trained.
They'll be training the people who will be going?
Yeah. They might be training the people who will be going to Mars in 2030, if that actually happens, 2033. So it's possible. I don't know. So Mike Pence gave a really odd speech to the astronauts, though. But he suggested maybe the moon, that maybe the astronauts will go to the moon, which would be awesome. Maybe the astronauts are going to go to Mars.
I'd love it if you said it just like that. Maybe you're going to Mars, maybe it's the moon. I haven't really looked into it. I don't really know.
Yeah, it's as American astronauts, you may yet return our nation to the moon. You may be the first to travel to Mars. Maybe. I don't know. You may have experiences that we can only imagine. Or you'll just sit at your desk job like the rest of us. I don't know. So anyway, how long does it take to get to Mars? 7 months, something like that. 9 months. I think it's 9 months.
8.
9 months to go to Mars?
I'll go with 8 months. Why not?
Now, Googling.
Used to be 2 years, but I'll say 18 months. 18 months.
Mars.
I'm going to stop heckling and actually.
I'm going to go with 18 months.
I'm going to go on record right now.
7 months. You were right,
go to
Blair.
7
7
months.
months.
That's what I
I'm going to
said,
go on
7
record. I think this group of astronauts will go to Mars.
You think this astronaut class is going to go to Mars? That's what you're going on record for?
Yeah.
With 7 years, well, but they're not scheduled to take off for
13. Well, that'll be, so say it's 2033 that we send a ship with people on it to Mars. That would be 16 years
from now.
16 years from now. So 2 years of this are training, and then they'll be astronauts for 14 years.
That's possible.
Part of that would
My
be training for the
expectation is-
actual mission.
I think they're going to push up the date.
You think?
Yeah. I do, because I
You know-
think another country is going to say that they're ready.
And so it's
And we're gonna
create
go- never
a
mind, we're going now.
competition to get up.
We're going to Mars.
It's going to be just
So it's
another
gonna be
space
this-
race.
It's the new take on this space race.
Definitely. I'm
Huh.
pretty sure. I feel like it's going to happen.
Hmm.
Because we
Right.
we pretty much have the technology. We're almost there.
We're almost there.
And it
We're
only
really
like
not
if it
quite.
took if it took 2 years to get to Mars, I would say yeah, we need to figure some stuff out. But it's 7 months. I realize that's a very long time, but that doesn't mean it needs to be a one-way trip.
Well, that's the thing. We need to make sure that we have the capability of a return mission. Otherwise, otherwise it's a one-way trip to death. And then everybody who goes there in the future is going to go there and be like, look at that. That's where the astronauts died.
Right. So yes,
So
absolutely.
wait a second. There's
It's going to be a round trip. I have no doubt.
Or it'll be go orbit around Mars and
Yes.
come back without landing.
That's what I mean.
Part of what I
That's
see
gonna
is slowing
we'll
down.
send them to the vicinity of Mars. They'll take some snapshots,
absolutely.
and then they'll orbit the planet
No,
and be like,
no. If you're going to send them all the way in a
selfies
7-month
of
trip,
themselves
Yes.
in front of
No,
the big picture
land
window
and take off
in
again.
front of Mars, and then they'll
not
just
worth
come
the
back.
step. If I didn't step foot, I'm not going.
It's like, but it'll be like one of those
Oh
cruise
yeah, we need to
ships.
plant the American flag. So yeah, they have to set down.
Yeah. So here's one of the things
that's the
that's
way
sort
the
of
space race
slowing
works,
down the
right?
space
Is they're
travel
trying to
deal.
claim they're trying to claim
that we're-
Mars.
This is a fast destiny.
We have
Spread
to
the
figure
word.
out how to bring the astronauts back before we can send them to Mars.
Well,
Because
according to the
otherwise,
Martian, you just need to
one
go
day-
really fast and make a
No
slingshot
good.
motion. So we're all set.
slingshot off Mars, right?
One of the things I keep saying is slowing down Martian exploration is how quickly our technology is developing.
Oh right. So,
So
they have
that-
to scrap things over and over.
Yeah, like we get to a point where like, wow, this is the best that we can do, and we've been working on it for a couple of years, and we're going to create this 2 years to get to Mars. And oh, you know what? If we built it today, it would take 7 months. And and if we waited another couple of years, we could actually have life support there. 4 years, we could actually have a station that could be self-supportive for 7 months or a year or 2 years. So we're innovating at such a rapid pace right now that it's sort of putting off making this journey to Mars because we know we'll be so much more efficient at it in just a few more years.
That's a very interesting.
We're on the cutting edge of so much technology and so much. Also we're still in a little bit of an infancy stage in understanding how to care for our astronauts in space, but we're rapidly working on that problem as well.
I think it'll happen. I mean, what we're seeing is more and more work between the private space industry and NASA, and also cooperation between NASA and other governmental organizations like the European Space Agency. Organizations can continue to get along in such a way that progress continues to be made.
Oh, so you want progress without competition?
Progress without competition is difficult. I think there's going to be competition maybe against certain countries. So maybe China and the United States, maybe India and the United States, and maybe it won't be to go to Mars. Maybe it'll be to the moon first, because China actually is working really hard to get to the moon right now. And
To make a moon base or what? To go there. And I mean, probably the initial idea is China. We did that a long time ago and we haven't been back.
No, that's true.
We've sent we sent the moon orbiter.
Yeah.
The lunar orbiter that went around and then crashed itself into the moon a few years back. We did that, but that's like the closest we've come to the moon in decades.
That's a very good point.
And so even if China's like, I'm going to go to the moon, China could do that and then keep doing it.
Yep.
If we don't decide to step up our game and do, we have to keep doing it. We have to keep progressing ourselves.
Which also makes me think about if we rush to go to Mars sooner than we had planned, and it's just to do it once and never go back again, that also would not be great.
Right? And that's there's a lot of politics behind these things. Obama's administration said, let's go to Mars 2033, let's make it happen. And now Trump's like, yeah, let's do it. But wait, maybe not, and there are different ideas. Every organization, administration has its own ideas about how things should be run. And the cash money that gets disseminated by our Congress determines the projects that NASA can work on. It determines the contracts that can be made with companies like Boeing and SpaceX and other aerospace industries.
Yeah, I think that if somebody else says they're going to go, it's likely that we'll kick it into high gear.
Sure, let's kick it into high gear.
Kicking into high gear. Oh, we've got
hello.
Frank Summers, you interviewed me before.
Yes.
I just want to come up and say hi.
Hi, you want to come up and say hi? Hold on. Hi, I thought I recognized you.
I'm Blair.
Hi, Blair, how are you doing?
Frank, what are you doing here today at the Young Innovators Fair? I think it's on.
Is it on? All right, I just gave a talk on the ugly duckling of the solar system.
Oh, and that is?
Pluto and the 21st century solar system. How we understand the solar system has changed, and a lot of it can be traced to our understanding of Pluto, because you guys, you're old enough to remember the 1980s. 1990s,
right?
Very
well.
Okay.
Unfortunately,
well, Pluto was this oddball. Okay, it's out at the edge of the solar system. It's this small. I got to hold it close, much closer. Okay, there we go. I'm not used to doing that. It was out at the edge of the solar system. It's this small icy object. It's got this tilted orbit. It's got this elongated orbit. It's not part of the rocky planets.
Right.
It's not part of the giant planets.
Right.
It was the ugly duckling of the solar system back in the late 80s, early 90s.
And we called it a planet because it had a fairly regular orbital period, and we
what else were you going to call it?
And it's okay. It's there.
It was discovered in 1930, right? And it was predicted. Well, actually, it was mispredicted by Percival Lowell, right? Because he predicted a object that was 10 times the mass of Earth, right? Pluto's not 10 times the mass of Earth.
No. I mean, they're still looking for a massive object way out there in the solar system that has. They've predicted a lot of things out there that have not yet been found.
Yep.
But we found Pluto, and now we found all sorts of
bodies.
Exactly.
We've got all
They're
these
small.
Kuiper belt objects.
They're small. They're icy.
Yes.
They've got the elliptical orbits. They've got the tilted orbits.
They maybe even have moons.
Yes, a few of them have moons.
Yes.
All of the large Kuiper belt objects, except for one, has moons. 5, I think. Only one of them does not have moons.
I wonder if that's some. Do you have any idea if that is some factor of the mass of the body itself? So does it have to be? Is there a certain threshold to holding a moon, or is it the forces from some past impact that just kind of the forces turned it into this situation where everything got trapped together?
Well, it's going to depend on the situation, but
Yeah.
I think it's more the second one because we actually have an amazing asteroid
Yes.
that has this tiny little moon dactyl. Okay, it's just so amazing, and Ida.
Would you call it cute?
It's so cute. Oh, look at that little moon. Yeah. No, so Ida is only 5 kilometers, 10 kilometers across, and it has a tiny little moon dactyl that's maybe 1 kilometer across, and so it's certainly not mass. Okay.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
Ida doesn't really have enough mass to attract and hold dactyl. Matter of fact, mass to attract and hold Charon. All right, Charon is much too big for Pluto to have as a moon.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and I actually think of those as a double object, but we can discuss that later. But what we do believe is that there was a large collision between two bodies that created Charon into orbit around Pluto, and also put into orbit Nix, Styx, and Kerberos.
Right.
Sometimes hard to remember all of those. But Pluto now has technically 5 moons, but I like to think of it as a Pluto Charon as a double object with 4 moons around that.
Yeah, I've heard people talking about that more recently, that it's not, the Charon isn't another moon, that it is actually a double object, that they are from the same object and they're trapped together.
And the point is that the center of mass between them
is
not
center.
inside Pluto. It's in space in between them.
Yeah.
Now the center, Earth has the largest moon relative to its size of any planet. But the center of Earth between Earth and the moon is still inside the figure of Earth. So it's not outside in space. So that's why I sort of consider, it's okay to call the moon a moon of Earth,
right?
But to call Pluto Charon a double object.
That's an interesting discrimination of how to figure that out. And now, I mean, you're talking about this ugly duckling, Pluto, who I love. Are we still sad that Pluto is no longer a planet? Or, like you alluded to, is the reclassification giving us new material for understanding the planets in our solar system and others beyond ours?
That's exactly what it is. It's that fact that we stopped focusing on the individual object Pluto, and we started focusing on the whole family of Kuiper Belt objects.
Yeah.
And it's that emphasis on family that gives us the 21st century view of the solar system. That they are not just the sun and 9 planets, as you and I probably learned, right?
That was it.
Yes, that was it. The sun and 9 planets. As if it was, the numbers really meant something. The numbers don't mean anything. There are families. We got a star. We have the rocky planets. We have the asteroid belt. We have the giant planets. We have the Kuiper Belt. And then way out there, we have the Oort cloud. Families give us a much better understanding of the solar system. It's really, it illuminates the solar system so much better than sort of just counting off the objects. Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune. As if that memorization means it's important.
Yeah.
You do need to memorize things, but
it's good. It's important to know what they're called so you can in conversation identify the planet that you want to with somebody. I mean, we can say the red planet, and people will say, "Oh, Mars."
Yep. Very good.
Because we can classify it by its color. But aside from that, it's the rocky planets: Mercury, Earth, Mars, Venus.
Yep.
These planets, we have things in common with each other and differences, but then we can also look at the exoplanets that we're finding. People are talking lots of big news about the exoplanets that are Earth-like, 1.5 times the mass of Earth, and
yes,
but like orbiting its star in 8 days. I'm like, maybe totally locked. Oh, the force is here. They're not looking good for life.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of Earth-sized planets out there, but we have yet to find one that we can really call Earth-like. Kepler 452e or something like that. I can't remember the phone number of it, but there are just a few of them that are Earth-size and receive about the Earth amount of radiation.
Yeah.
So that if they had water on its surface, water would be liquid and not ice.
Yeah.
Or
which is what's important for the possibility of Earth-like evolutionary processes taking place. The one I think a lot of people are really taken with right now is the TRAPPIST, the TRAPPIST exosystem, exoplanet system.
7 Earth-sized planets in it.
Yeah.
Whoa!
They're all pretty close into their star, though, I think. But I was thinking about
But it's a red dwarf star. It's a red dwarf star, so being close in is actually good. Otherwise, you won't get much heat.
That's true. That's a good, that's good to remember. But it's interesting to think like the way that they orbit. I've seen artists' renderings of the sky from one of the TRAPPIST planets, and it's like people made up these posters and pictures for potential future space tourists to the TRAPPIST system. And there are these images of the night sky where you would see maybe 3 other planets illuminated in the night sky above you, like big.
Yeah.
Not little dots in the sky like we think of when we see Mars so far away, or Venus, but actually big planets looming over you.
Those are not just posters, they're actually visualizations, because they were done in consult with astronomers to say, from this planet, you really could see these planets, and this is how big they'd be in the sky. Not only have we gotten a new perspective on our own solar system, but looking at other solar systems, we're now looking at our solar system as in amongst the family of all solar systems. And that makes for it's the most exciting thing the kids could be thinking about, that they're going to get to explore other solar systems.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not going to be able to fly there like Star Trek, but through science, we're going to seek out new solar systems, new planets, maybe civilizations. I don't know. We'll
see. What do you think about that's one of the top candidates for life in our solar system, right?
Well, Enceladus has water jets coming from these crevices that we call the tiger stripes.
Yes.
Okay, so from Enceladus, there are these water jets spewing out, and needed for life. One is carbon. We like carbon as the basis of the building block for organic chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe some other other element could do it, but carbon is really our favorite.
Yeah.
You need energy. Well, that's abundant. We got the sun, there's energy all over the place. And then you need water as a mediating fluid for that carbon chemistry. So
the universal solvent.
Yeah, and so there's water on Enceladus, which means there could be life on Enceladus. There's water in an underwater ocean on Europa. There are a couple other moons where we have indications from their magnetic fields that they could also have underwater oceans.
Wow. Yeah.
And so we don't expect there to be little green men.
Right. These aren't mermaids. There aren't going to be mermaids swimming in these underwater oceans. No. No, this is microbial life. Probably not even on the level of our phytoplankton. Probably just much more single cell
organisms.
Yeah.
One of the things that I always like to remind people is that single cell organisms developed on Earth about 3.8 billion years ago.
Yeah.
Multicellular organisms didn't develop until 1.2 billion years ago.
That's billions of years.
Billions.
In
it took 2.6 billion years from the development of single-celled organisms to multicellular organisms, right? And it also emphasizes the power of cooperation.
Yeah.
Because once cells learn to cooperate, bam!
Everything moves very quickly.
Extremely quick. You get the Cambrian explosion 600 million years later, the greatest proliferation of life in Earth's history. And so cooperation on the cellular level really means a lot. Maybe it could work on our human level too.
Right? That would be nice.
That would be nice, wouldn't it?
So what are you working on these days?
Well, I'm at the Space Telescope Science Institute in Baltimore, Maryland.
Yeah.
With the Hubble Space Telescope. What I love to do is create scientific visualizations.
Okay.
We did scientific visualizations for the IMAX film Hubble 3D.
Mhm.
And I worked on the IMAX film Perfect Planet, which was a lot of fun. But right now, actually, where I was leading, in the IMAX film Hubble 3D, we flew down into the Orion Nebula. We took you in a 3D exploration through the Orion Nebula.
Cool.
And I now have that in VR 360, the Oculus Rift.
I love going to planetarium shows, you know, because you lie back and you see, they visualize all these things for you. But now with VR, this is, gosh, I want to do that.
This can be your own private planetarium.
Right.
So you can fly through the Orion Nebula in VR. Now, this summer, Robert Hurt at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory and I are going to try and build a Spitzer-based model, Spitzer Space Telescope-based model of Orion. And Spitzer observes in infrared.
Yeah.
So we want to try, this is a 3.5 degree of difficulty, we want to try to go from visible to infrared in VR 3D.
Yeah.
As you're flying through Orion. Would that be cool?
That would be so neat to be able to see, because, yeah, it's the visible, what is there that we can see that's emitting light or reflecting light, but then there's the dust and the gas and all the stuff that's, you can't see it, and it's holding all this energy.
And there's an embedded star cluster called the Kleinman Low region that you can't see because the gas is opaque in visible light, but there's a star cluster below that gas that when you look in infrared light with its longer wavelengths, you can see this new star cluster.
So that would be so neat, going from the Hubble visual view to the Spitzer
infrared
view. That you'd start with that beautiful Hubble picture, and then it would just fade, and you'd see what's beneath it. Oh, I want to see it. Do it. Yes.
So we're going to have that. Our due date for that is October 1st, at the end of our fiscal year. So Robert and I have discussed it. The folks at Space Telescope and I have discussed it. So that's what I'm going to do with my
Next
summer
project.
vacation.
And so this will be a VR experience.
A VR experience. We'll also release HD and 4K just rectangular views.
Okay.
And that'll be on our Hubble site. Page.
Okay, so how do people access these things? Do you have? I mean, is this through NASA, or is this stuff that you're specifically doing through certain VR companies?
No. So this is something that we are subcontractors to NASA.
Yeah.
So everything I do is public domain. Actually.
Okay.
People can use it, and we put it out on HubbleSite.org, which is the main Hubble press release and pretty picture and movie webpage.
Yeah.
And I have not released the Orion in VR just yet, because there's 2 tweaks I need left to make. I haven't finished the tweaks.
Make it perfect.
Yes, I'm going to make it perfect.
And then I'm going to go steal my friend's VR headset.
Yes. All right. And so that will be up on our YouTube channel, Hubble site channel, where you can post a VR 360 movie on YouTube. And then
so people
you can download it and play it, or you can just play it directly over the internet. And when we finish this in October, we will also post it on our YouTube channels. Yeah.
October. That'll be awesome.
It's a lot of work.
I'm sure. What kind of things go into these visualizations? I mean, you've got the images, you've got the data, but how do you actually go about? How do you start creating these experiences?
Well, you have to first analyze it in 3D, right? You have to look at this 2D image and then analyze what pieces are in front of what, all right? And so we always take out all the stars. First thing we do is erase all the stars. So goodbye stars. And we then put them into a separate data set, right? Which we sometimes create synthetically, sometimes we create via postage stamps. We have 3 or 4 different ways of creating stars. But then we're left with the nebula, and we really have to sculpt that nebula and sculpt it from 3 dimensions. So not just for what we see from Earth, but what have you got over here? And there's this big, huge bowl cavity in the Orion Nebula that Greg Bacon, who works in at my studio, is just amazing at just creating the three-dimensional structure. Then you got to go fill in the stuff that Hubble can't see. Because when you've got this big bowl, well, if Hubble only sees it this way, what's looking this way? So we have to
right, because you have to think of it from these other views. Because if you're in that VR experience, what if you turn that way? Are you going to see just blackness?
You've got to cover the entire sphere.
Yeah.
So you've got to extend the texture maps with a scientifically reasonable extrapolation.
So it's like prediction algorithms, or
mostly it's just, if it looks like this here, it's going to look somewhat like that over here.
All right.
You get the main bright stars.
So we're thinking it.
Common sense extrapolation. I'm like, let's use some big words. No.
Yeah.
And then the hard part really is the opacity. Trying to figure out, because gas, have you ever flown through clouds in a plane, right?
Yes.
And they look like they're solid when they're far away, but you get into them and they're
wispy,
right?
and so it doesn't seem like
we've
much.
got to create that wispiness, but yet that sense of solidity at the same. So long away solidity, up close wispiness, right?
Yeah.
And we do that by creating about 20 million particles in the computer, and each particle is mapped to this semi-transparent splat of light.
Wow.
Okay, in 3 dimensions. All right, and then the really expensive part is rendering that.
Yeah, because you put all the data into the computer, and then you have to run it to piece it all. Because you've created all the layers, you've got all the stuff in there. Now you have to create it.
Right. And I used to think that, wow, my code is really slow, until I talked to some guys from Pixar, and at the time they were doing Monsters Incorporated. And you remember the snowstorm scene?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, in the Himalayas with the. It took hours per frame for some of the shots in the snowstorm scene, because the snowflakes are all semi-transparent, and their software, even though these guys are the best in the world,
they're the best at the animations. Yeah.
Because the semi-transparency caused incredible amounts of time spent really getting the look perfect along each ray of light that you drew. So I didn't feel bad, because mine take 3 to 4 hours per frame sometimes.
Wow. Yeah, I was actually just about to ask you if you work with Pixar at all. So that's interesting. Do you guys trade?
He's now consulting for Pixar.
Right, yeah.
Let me teach you a few things about rendering.
Yeah. Oh, you have to make a hairy animal? Let's talk about hairs.
Well, actually, one of our interns that worked at Space Telescope is now working for Pixar.
Nice.
That makes sense.
And they just wrapped Cars 3. So I saw pictures of her from the Cars 3 wrap.
That's awesome.
So that's a lot of fun. Another one of my interns is working for Disney down in LA.
Nice.
So,
that's so great.
Yeah. I can't keep them in science because the money's much better in the movies.
The money's better in the movies, but hopefully they go work on fun projects that keep them busy and challenged, and
really it's what they wanted. They came to us because, wow, this is really cool, and I think I could learn something from you.
Yeah.
And so we taught them a variety of tricks, and then they went off to the studios and then used those to have a career. And it's really great. There's only so many people who get to have the fun that I do in astronomy.
Right.
It's true. The visualization. I am so glad that NASA puts money into the visualization, that there's an organization like the Space Science Telescope Institute that is putting an effort into the visualization of the data.
Exactly.
That we're seeing. I mean, it's enough. Here's a pretty picture, but now let's think about how we can actually animate this even more approachable for people.
And it's like those travel
And
posters you mentioned, right?
Yes.
This wasn't a STEM event here. This was a STEAM event, because bringing the arts into science and technology and engineering and mathematics, adding that artistic component to it, opens it up to such a much wider audience. And kids will do things for science, if they're allowed to make it their own, an artistic project.
Yeah.
And it's just as good. The learning happens no matter how you approach it.
Yep, it absolutely does. Thank you so much. I'm glad you came by to talk with us. Yeah, it's been a while since we've spoken, but I'm so glad you came. Yes. This has been
I'm going to head back to Baltimore.
Get back to Baltimore.
And I'll be here tomorrow. I hope are you guys doing you're live streaming the whole day?
Yes, we'll be back again tomorrow.
Wow, I
More
hope
fun.
you take care of your voice tonight.
I know. I need lozenges.
All right, well, very nice to meet you.
Lozenges is
Take
spelled
care.
B-E-E-R.
Take care, Kiki.
Thank you.
And you guys have a great time.
You too. Thanks for coming by.
Justin, get up here.
Yeah, for people who don't know, the Space Science Telescope Institute, they manage Hubble. And
Oh, is it over?
We just have a half an hour
we
left.
have 30 minutes left of this live stream, you guys. We have been here.
We want to all
since-
be together.
Yeah, we're going to be together. Justin, don't leave me.
I don't know why.
Don't run off. Don't be
I'm the
a
one that's been
stranger.
standing all day.
Yeah. So, did you enjoy the interview?
I enjoyed watching
conversation?
TWIS today.
You enjoyed watching
Quite a bit.
TWIS today?
Yeah, it was
I'm glad.
fun. No,
Because tomorrow I'm going to go take many breaks.
Yeah.
We're both going to leave. We're going to leave you here by yourself. You're going to be here by yourself. All right. We should talk about a little bit more science, shouldn't we? We have 30 minutes more. We'll get some more science in here.
So I have a fun story about parrots and dinosaurs.
I like parrots and dinosaurs. You're going to tell me they're related, right?
Shocking news, everyone.
Shocking.
Dinosaurs and birds are related.
This just in.
That is where the story
This is just
starts. By studying parrotlets, baby parrots who are just learning how to fly. Researchers from Stanford University are getting an idea in how the first flying dinosaurs learned. So by actually not baby parrots, but parrotlets, they're the tiny versions of parrots.
Full-grown parrots, but tiny.
Yes, full-grown tiny parrots from Mexico and southern parts of South America. They brought them into a lab and they made them jump from one branch to another branch. And as they did that, they kind of moved the branches farther apart in a stepwise fashion. And they wanted to see what changed about how these parrots moved their bodies when they jumped to a perch that was close, then a perch that was farther, then a perch that was farther. So they think that this could be analogous to a feathered dinosaur developing the ability to glide and then slowly learning how to fly, right? Over evolutionary time, not in the life of a bird or a dinosaur, right? So
at first you can just hop from one branch to the next.
Yes.
At some point, they become far enough away that you might need to glide a little bit to get there. And then at some point, glide isn't enough. I need to get a flap in there.
Exactly. So they found that when the distances between branches were small, they just hopped. When the distance was greater, they used their wings to help push a little bit of air to help get where they needed to go. And then by comparing the energy expended, they found that the strategy optimized energy usage. So it followed exactly how they thought that it would work out if they were trying to systematically get better at getting from one space to another space and using their feathered appendages the best way that they could. So they're very energy efficient in the way that they do it. So then the extrapolation from there, wondering if wings assisted hopping or dinosaurs, and then finally could have led to full flight. They built a model replicating 4 particular dinosaurs and their behaviors. They found that in two of them, the wing-like boosted flight helped increase their jump length by 20%.
Can you make the video work?
I can try.
Is it stopped?
Oh, it stopped. Okay. Yeah, so I can definitely make it work again.
So we can show people the birds.
Yeah. Here, let me show the hopping birds.
There, that's on. Hopping birds.
Here.
There you go.
Boop. There we go. So here they are starting. They're just hopping from branch to branch. Awkward. Parrots are interesting because they're actually better climbers than they are flyers, which is why this might be a perfect study animal when they're trying to pick a bird that's analogous to a dinosaur that's learning how to use their feathers. So parrots, because they live in really dense rainforest, they spend a lot more time climbing than flying because there just isn't flying space. So they have specially adapted feet. They have 2 toes in the front and 2 in the back, unlike most birds, which have 3 in the front and 1 in the back, so that they can grab onto branches, flip upside down, all those good things. They also have a strong beak for breaking open nuts, but the other reason their beak is so strong is so they can actually use their beak to climb and can hang their entire body weight on their beak. So all of that makes them really great climbers. They can fly, but they're not the best flyers in the world. So they, of course, would not use their wings if they didn't need to. Then you can see right here, as the distance between the perches grows, they need to use their wings slightly for one last push to get to the other side of the other branch there. So the idea is, oh, and here we go. Here's even farther. They're going ahead flapping full way to get to the other branch. That this is a similar progression that you would see in evolutionary time when dinosaurs were developing flight and turning into birds.
I think this was a really interesting way to approach the idea of how dinosaurs may have evolved the ability to fly. And also, you know, what were they? We now know that they had a lot of species had feathers on them. So what were they using those feathers for? It probably was initially coloration, insulation, you know, to try and stay warm. They didn't have hair, so their scales were feathers, and then they could use them for something functional,
right?
Like this gliding and later flapping and flying activity.
Yeah, and the very last step there, so if they're getting better at gliding, they're still pretty heavy. We know dinosaurs to be pretty heavy. Their bones are pretty thick. So kind of that last step in turning into a fully fledged flying animal is to lose some of that bone mass and to get lighter in general. So,
which we know birds have hollow bones.
Yes,
they're very lightweight.
Yeah, so the 3 things that make birds able to fly: hollow bones, feathers, and they poop a lot. That's the third one. They have a fast metabolism. So if you ever watch very closely, a lot of birds, they poop right before they take off because they want to get rid of that last little bit of weight before they fly. Yeah.
Yeah, and this weight consciousness is something that's led to many hypotheses about how the brains of birds actually work. And there are hypotheses looking at food storing birds that hide their food in the fall to be able to survive through the winter. They use this area of the brain called the hippocampus to be able to remember all of the locations where they hide the food. In food storing birds, their hippocampus grows during the season that they're storing food. So the hippocampus actually gets larger during the part of the year when they're relying on their memory, and then gets smaller during the part of the year when they're not relying on that intensive memory. So the hippocampus actually gets bigger and then smaller again, and researchers think that it has to do with just this weight, dealing with how much mass they have to keep aloft, and that it's so important for them to find the food that their brains will grow bigger and add a little bit extra mass. But then once they don't need it anymore, get rid of it, get rid of that extra mass, let's get light again so we can be efficient flyers.
So this is so interesting. I was just talking to some teenagers the other day in my teen volunteer program about pelicans, because we have pelicans at the zoo where I work, and they have this weird projection on their bill, kind of builds up over time, right? And they asked me what it was, and I wasn't 100% sure. I looked into it. It's called a nuptial tubercle.
Yes, the nuptial tubercle.
Yeah, and it's a keratinous deposit that builds up during the mating season, and then it falls off as soon as the mating season's over. And I was sitting there thinking, gosh, energetically, it's so expensive to build it up, have it fall off, and then build it up again every single year. That's so much energy. Why wouldn't you just keep it, and then it would grow as you get older? And then, you know, that also helps with females identifying who's older, more mature. That's probably why. Weight.
It has to do with weight.
Yeah.
Because mating is something that's very important, and that species, for whatever reason, has decided that this thing is important for its mate choice.
Yeah.
And so it becomes a very important aspect of their survival.
Yeah, look, I'm not going anywhere. Look how heavy my beak is.
Yeah.
I'm not flying. It'd be too much energy to fly away.
Also,
stick around.
Their eyes are really dark during mating season, and they lighten after the mating season. I'm not sure why that is.
That's interesting.
Well, that's fascinating. Imagine if at different times of year your eyes were different colors.
Remember, there was the study about the deer in the Arctic. So Arctic deer, their eyes change color, or was it deer? Gosh, I'm going to get it wrong. But there was a species of animal in the Arctic that their eyes change color during the winter, and it has to do with changes in melanin, so that they can absorb energy during the season when there's less sun. But their eyes change color to like green from blue or something like that. And it's nutritional, and it's a nutritional thing, and it's also a seasonal thing because of melanin.
It's reindeer.
Reindeer. It was deer. That's right. So reindeer's eyes change color with the seasons.
Yes. Fascinating.
Yeah, I was trying to remember.
So that's their fur, right?
Arctic fox fur changes color.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
These guys take it a whole nother level with the eyes changing color.
I know.
Yeah.
But reindeer eyes. And their nose changes to red.
Oh, Rudolph.
Rudolph.
Right.
That was funny. So I don't know what's going on with the Facebook feed anymore, but you know what? We've been on YouTube. YouTube all afternoon. This is so great. We've been having so much fun today.
Yeah.
So much fun today.
Look at these. I find the posters.
You find the posters. Oh, you found the Trappist system? This is Enceladus. So right now, you guys can't really see it on the YouTube feed.
No.
But Blair is bringing up the artist visualizations that we were talking with Robert Schiller about for Enceladus and various moons and planets in our solar system. There's a bunch of people who have been working on the idea of space tourism. What would those tourist posters look like to get you to go traveling to other planets and moons?
Those are fantastic.
They're absolutely beautiful. And NASA has put out several of their own and so they're free for download.
Yeah.
Yeah. The ones that I don't know if all of these are NASA posters, but the ones that are NASA posters are available for public download.
Here, yeah, they're all NASA.
Yeah.
They're all from the Jet Propulsion Lab.
From Jet. Okay.
Yeah.
JPL, you make nice posters.
Yeah. Steam.
I think STEM, start teaching everyday magic. Science.
We have to have her back. So, okay, we only have a little bit of time left. What was your favorite thing today? From today?
I've enjoyed the whole day. I've enjoyed talking with people. I really enjoyed doing our quiz show.
Yeah, that was fun.
I thought that was a lot of fun. I can't wait to do it again tomorrow. I thought that was a good time.
Yeah.
What was your favorite thing?
Talking to the young female scientists. That was my favorite. It really, so I got.
Everybody but Mitchell.
No. So I'm going to get a little bit personal for a second. I got an email from someone who listens to the show who heard our story about the whole thing about unattractive people being perceived as less competent scientists.
No,
right?
attractive people are attractive
Yes, that's what I meant
people
to say.
are perceived as less competent scientists.
Right. So this idea of brain and beauty being mutually exclusive.
Yeah.
Right?
But we have this as stereotype. We've talked about it on the show. It was stereotypes across our culture where guys are who are attractive and muscly are supposed to be jocks. And jocks aren't necessarily smart, right? And then the girls who are attractive, they're cheerleaders, and you know the prom queen, and they're supermodels, and they're not necessarily smart. Like this is a really ridiculous stereotype that our culture has put together.
Right. And so I had mentioned something about how when I was younger, at multiple times, I felt like I had to pick. Do you want to be a pretty girl or a smart girl? Which one do you want? You have to decide now. And I just kind of mentioned that in passing.
You did, yeah.
And I got an email from someone who he's expecting his first daughter. And he's a scientist, and his wife is a teacher. And he wanted to know a little bit about my personal story behind that. And he wanted to make sure that his daughter's life, that he could do everything in his power to make sure that stupid decisions like that weren't going through her brain as she was maturing, right?
Right.
Which I essentially told him that by asking that question, he's already helping. Because by being aware of it, you can really look out for warning signs, have an open dialogue about societal expectations and what you actually have to adhere to as a human. Mm-hmm. And so just by being aware of it, having a conversation with his daughter as she grows is a big part of that, right? But talking to the young female scientists and innovators here today, it really is starting to feel like a paradigm shift, and it's really powerful.
Maybe this won't be something that girls feel like they have to choose anymore.
Yeah.
There's no choice between. It's be who you are.
Yeah, and I was starting to get a little bit choked up because it was very powerful to have conversations with these young girls who are free to explore these avenues and are being encouraged to explore these avenues. These avenues are still naturally, a lot of them are naturally dominated as male, right? And so girls need a leg up for a little while. They need their own clubs. They need an extra hand for things to become level. But once the playing field is level, I'm so excited. I'm so excited for all these girls in STEM. It's fantastic.
I'm excited for girls in STEM and the future women they will be in STEM, but I am even more excited for how the fields are going to benefit from equal gender representation.
Yes.
The ideas that will come out as a result of collaborations, the ideas that will happen because there are diverse ideas.
Yeah. And I think I know Justin's sitting here being like, yes, enough about the women. But
I was gonna ask Justin actually. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
You have two daughters.
Yes.
I mean, we're sitting here talking from the perspective of women in the sciences, but you are a father with two daughters, and how do you see them growing up? And are you afraid of them having to deal with those kinds of choices?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, what I was going to say was that men are a part of this conversation too, right? How many dads are here with their daughters today? That's part of it. So it has to be embraced from both sides, obviously, but it really does seem like there's a change happening that's fantastic.
Yeah, and in fact, I think we're going to have to at some point start getting boys back into STEM.
No, it's true. We've looked at the data.
I'm looking at the school. I'm looking at the art projects. I mean, the science projects from the science fair, and there was this sort of nature science thing that my daughter got involved with, and different ecosystems, and they did wetlands, and there was all these competing groups from different counties around California that were competing. And you look at who's there, and there were a couple of boys in amongst the girls. It was really that predominant. It was really that one-sided. So, and I don't think, I guess every school system and every household, it's all going to be different. But I think I'm very lucky where we're at. Science is something that's taught as a class in the 4th grade, along with, you have your math class, your English class, and they have a science class that they go to once a week. And there isn't a separation of just boys going to the science class. It's not like it's an elective. Right. It's the whole class that's getting taught together. So I don't
Yeah.
know that there's this youngest generation is going to have those stereotypes that you had to face.
I hope not. And we had a conversation last night with a woman who works for a company called Mindware that sells brainy toys, and she was saying that her own daughter and her daughter's friends are of this new generation where they're just like, "Hey, here I am. This is me. I'm into this thing. I'm into that thing. This is me." So there is
how
a
great is that?
generational change in how I think young women are thinking about themselves and the self-esteem and self-confidence that's necessary in social settings to just be who you are.
Yeah, I definitely, I get a little jealous sometimes of how nerd culture is popular now.
Why do you get jealous of it?
Because I wish it was that way when I was growing up.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I was such a nerd. I was always into the nerdy things, and
I know.
yeah,
I
on the outskirts as a result.
I was just born a little too soon, I guess.
That's right. Born ahead of the curve. No,
Just
you know
not,
what?
you know.
You know what? Trailblazer. There you
There you
are.
go. We're trailblazers.
There you
Kiki.
go. Trailblazers.
That's great.
Bye. Have a wonderful evening. Thanks for coming to Young Innovators Fair. Woo! Did you guys have fun? Yay! Awesome. I get one wave and there I go. I start heckling the crowd.
Hey, it's
They
not
give me a
heckling if
microphone. It's like
positive,
permission
right?
to heckle people. And you know what? We have 11 minutes left in the Young Innovators Fair in Phoenixville,
That's
Pennsylvania.
11 minutes and 8 hours.
11
This
minutes.
all goes down again tomorrow.
Yes,
That's
this
true.
will go down again tomorrow. We will be talking about science again, maybe some of the same things, maybe some different things.
Yep.
We're going to fill 8 hours with wonderful science conversation, some interviews, lots of fun. Did you have fun at the fair? Awesome. You're dancing your way out too. I love it.
Yes.
He's got the moves.
We're going to go have a dance party, right?
We're going to go we can go out on a dance party, a little twist
Gonna go to
song dance
Phoenixville.
party.
Go have a dance party.
Yeah, we're going to go to Phoenixville, go through the drive-through beer store and have a dance party. Oh my goodness.
Room service.
We have
Oh, now you want the
we
room
have
service.
hand
Justin.
sanitizer to clean those thoughts of yours.
Justin, you didn't tell us what your favorite part of the day was.
Yeah, I know. What was your favorite part?
I went on a long tangent, so you didn't get to talk. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I liked the quiz show. That was fun. I like the kids, the energy from these kids. These are bright, brilliant kids that are out here
So
today.
great.
That's been fantastic. I think I gotta say though, the extra life, the fundraising to
The gaming,
the
fun-
fundraising by gaming, I
Yeah.
thought was pretty brilliant, pretty touching. The amount of money that they've raised. For
Yeah, so
charitable
I missed
organizations.
part of that, but so it's like a pledge drive, right?
Yeah.
It's just
It's
like a
like a
walkathon or
walkathon.
stuff like that. So
Except, you
people
do
pledge
something-
for hours of gameplay.
Yeah, so you get people that you say, I'm going to play for 10 hours or whatever. I'm going to play for 24 hours. And then people will pledge $1 per hour or whatever it is
Wow.
they want to pledge. And then you get to play games. I think it's a fabulous idea.
And there they
It's
go,
raised-
woman-splaining.
What did
that
he
I
say?
was-
What did he say? $30 million? $30 million has been raised or more than
Yeah,
that.
I think you said
There's for children's hospitals.
no. I'm gonna let you finish, but
I-
I'm not used to days, so.
that's very true. Yeah, in the audience.
You know what, Justin? Thank you for bringing us some good guests
Yeah, that's
today.
true.
Thank
You are a
for-
green room coordinator, so that's helpful.
That's a
Our
good
green
job.
room over here.
Have an empty audience, and now we have a green room.
Yeah.
It's good.
Better use of chair.
Better use of chairs. Because iteration.
BUOC.
We've learned iteration is important. So we're going to go home after tonight. We're not going home. We're gonna go to dinner and maybe a hotel or something. Justin's going straight to sleep, but we are probably gonna have a conversation about what went well today, and what did not go well today, and figure out how we can maybe change things up tomorrow if we need to.
You know, iterations.
Iterations. That's what I was saying. Yep. We're gonna iterate on this here.
Let's
I
iterate.
think everything went great today. I think what we might do tomorrow, one suggestion I have for us in the after show here as it is, I would like to bring a little bit more of that quiz show up front. Grab people as they're coming in.
We should do we can do the VIP. Let's do or we talked about doing what is science done for you lately. The problem is the VIPs came in and then they just kept walking past us. So
well, we can
we'll figure it out. We're gonna figure out how to grab people to play a little game.
Come on over, come on in.
Yeah.
Try this game. You just might win.
And a pin. You will win.
Yes,
We'll draw those.
You might just win a twist
Don't be
pin.
bashful. Don't be shy. There's no need to walk on by.
What are you, a salesman?
Carney. He's a carny. Carney. He was a carny.
We can. I think we should do that though. Like, just start grabbing kids over here.
Yeah, giving out patches and pins and stickers.
Sitting down there.
Yeah.
Bring the people in. I also want to find there's NASA people here and there are other people.
I want that
far
smoke cannon to come over.
Yeah, I like the smoke cannon. I love smoke cannons. I want to build a really big one.
Yeah. Also,
yeah. I want to buy. I would like to build a very, very large smoke cannon. I'm having designs going through my head all of a sudden. Ooh. I know it's not as big as I want. I want bigger. I want a really big smoke cannon. Really big one. When
vehicle mounted.
Yes. When I say really big, I mean really big. That's what I would like. Oh, everybody out there, thanks for joining us today for our live feed. Those of you who are out there, really appreciate your time today. I hope that you had some fun with us while we've been online, and we're going to keep it up. I think we'll have another great day tomorrow. It's looking up. It's going to be hot, hot, hot tomorrow. Going to be in the 90s, nice and warm for everybody. And
printing bones, 3D printing bones.
3D printing bones. We're getting the BioBot here tomorrow. Yes. BioBot, we're going to get a demonstration, maybe a demonstration or explanation of a biological 3D printer. Yeah. It's going to be amazing.
I'm just going to go, hey, how?
I know, you've said this before. Yes, but I can't wait to find out tomorrow how they print. How to 3D print bones. That's what I want. Please? That's what I want to know. Tomorrow.
Pirate flag in 3D. Three-dimensional pirate flag. That's bones.
Oh,
that doesn't seem like a good allocation.
I'm looking at the chat room to see who's out there. The TWIS. Is it time for our TWIS dance party yet?
Oh yeah, we should do that.
You know, while your outro. We're watching everybody leave the Young Innovators Fair. Thank you so much for coming out today. We hope you had a wonderful time. Bye. We hope that you were inspired, that you had a wonderful time today. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you. Woo! Thank you for joining us today.
TWIS out? Is that?
TWIS is gonna be out of here. I'm gonna play some music for our outro. It's gonna fight with the other ones. This is This Week in Science. We'll be back tomorrow.
I got the kind of mind I can't get enough. I wanna learn everything. I wanna fill it all up. with new discoveries that happen every day of the week. There's only one place to go to find the knowledge I seek. I wanna know what's happening, what's happening, what's happening this week in science. What's happening, what's happening, what's happening this week in science. This week in science. This week in science. This week in science, it's the end of the world. So I'm setting up shop, got my banner unfurled. It says the scientist is in, I'm gonna tell my advice. Show them how to stop the robots with a simple device. I'll reverse global warming with a wave of my hand. And all it'll cost you is a couple of grand. This week's science is coming your way. So everybody listen to what I say. I use the scientific method for all that it's worth. And I'll broadcast my opinion all over the earth. Cause it's This Week in Science. This Week in Science. This Week in Science. 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 This Week in Science. This Week in Science. This Week in Science. 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 I've got one disclaimer and it shouldn't be news. That what I say may not represent your views, but I've done the calculations and I've got a plan. If you listen to the science, you may just get understand that we're not trying to threaten your philosophy. We're just trying to save the world from jeopardy. And this week in science is coming away. So everybody listen to everything we say. And if we use our method instead of rolling a die, we may rid the world of toxoplasma. Got the eye. Cause it's This Week in Science. This Week in Science. This Week in Science. 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 This Week in Science. This Week in Science. This Week in Science. 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 I've got a laundry list of items I want to address. From stopping global hunger to dredging Loch Ness. I'm trying to promote more rational thought, and I'll try to answer any question you got. But how can I ever see the changes I seek when I can only set up shop 1 hour a week? This Week in Science is coming your way. You better just listen to what we say. And if you've learned anything from the words that we said, then please just remember it's on your head. Cause it's This Week in Science. This Week in Science. This Week in Science. 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 This Week in Science. This Week in Science. This Week in Science. 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 This Week in 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 Science. Explain things you've heard more than intuition. Live research shows the way to go. New conclusion. The methods of hypothesis and patience are the only things I need. Put on a pair of goggles and go looking for the things I couldn't see. The answers lie somewhere within this scattered plot. First assumptions were correct, disprove the rest. It's hot. The methods of hypothesis and patience are the only things I need. Put on a pair of goggles and go looking for the things I couldn't see. The methods of hypothesis and patience are the only things I need. Put on a pair of goggles and go looking for the things I could not see. I couldn't see. See.